And we are live. Fanboy Modeling School. Welcome into the Fanboy Modeling School. I am the Fat Mantis, now in HD. I'm here with my boy
Steve, real name no gimmicks, also in HD, lo-fi, high quality H2O audio.
How are you, my hippie friend?
I'm doing good.
There's something strangely calm about you. It's unnerving.
I think it's the calm before the storm, but shout out real quick before we get into the shenanigans tonight. Gotta give a big, huge shout out to Riz Radio over on Live 365, doing the thing, independent radio, bringing you the music you never heard of and the music you always hear. Yo, how are you doing? Owner, proprietor of Riz Radio.
I know why you say. I finally figured out why it is you say that all the time. You always you point me out as because when it's time for someone to get sued, you want them to make sure they direct their rage at me. And I understand. I would do the same thing to you.
Exactly.
I'm okay for a man who's overworked, doesn't sleep, drinks too much, and has no actually healthy relationships in the real world.
Bro, what are you talking about? Our relationship. Pause. Our friendship. Our deep-rooted friendship, no mo. I literally haven't physically seen you, not that it matters between two bros, in the real world in how long? Shit, man, ever since you escaped the plantation in quite some time.
Right.
I think the last time we hung out was when we went to go see a movie, like two hedgerow life partners do, you know? When you
we go to the movies, we throw the, the pigskin around, and then we wrestle.
Pause. We're not throwing any skin out.
There's no pigskins. Nothing with skin, no wrestling. We sit 5 seats apart.
How the hell are you, man? How's everything going? Folks, do me a solid, man. If you are sitting underneath the sound of my voice right now, that means that you probably have access to the thing called the wide world web. And if you have access to that, I assume you have access to something called a cellular mobile device. What I want you to do right now is, whether it be Amazon, Google-based or Apple-based, go to your respective app store and download the Live 365 app. Once you download that, I want you to ignore everyone else that's on there and go straight to Riz Radio and support the movement we got going on there.
And, for starters, that I got to say, that was the greatest call to action I've seen on the internet in, forever. So applaud. Applaud right there. Secondly, we're doing a very special episode today. We're bitching about women, which is something we never do on the show. Ever. Rogue Radio says first.
That's right.
I was hearing first. Yes, you were, Rogue Radio. You'll always be first in my heart. Pony says,
shout out to Rogue Radio. Make sure you check out Rogue Radio's
content. Who's back and doing regular episodes on her YouTube channel.
I know, man. Shout out to Rogue Radio, exposing the pederasty and
exposing a lot of stuff. She talks about a lot of stuff that you probably aren't ready to talk about, but you should at least listen and have an inkling about what's going on out there, because she's trying to unveil the truth.
Oh my gosh.
What just happened over there? The cops are there?
My light's bugging out.
It's literally like they shined a flash, like a spotlight on it. I can't make out what the old pony is saying, so I'm going to just bypass it.
It's some type of incantation of some sort.
Utasi uta-asi. What in the scheduling conflict is going on?
Let me address this right now. What Cincy, shout out to Cincy Star, is referring to is that yes, there is an episode of Mic Check airing live right now, Of course, I want you to always support Riz Radio, but Fanboy had to go on tonight, right? We had to go on because there's too much stuff going on in the world. So we're not splitting our audience, man, but
Yeah, this is a once in a lifetime fluke. Next time we'll do a live over my show, which starts at noon on weekdays, so that should be fun.
Hey, shout out to you, man. I've been tuning into the show, noon shows. I can honestly tell you, man, it is a staple. I wish I could comment or what I'm saying? Like get in there when I'm in there. Obviously, I'm at work walking around with music playing out my back pocket and then turning it up loud when I hear your voice. Pause.
He's too paused out today. He can't handle it. Okay, I dig that.
But shout out to you,
man.
But
thank you. That means a lot.
How does it feel being fully back in the saddle, man?
Oh, it feels great. It feels wonderful. We're going to, hopefully by this weekend, we will be able to kick off the Riz Radio website. Just a lot of wonderful things are happening at Riz Radio. That's amazing. And then also I've been working on a new redesign for this show right here. So you guys are going to have like a visual splendor, if you will, a little visual candy for you coming up soon, any day now.
Right. Shout out to Fanboy Modeling School. Longest lasting podcast outside. Izzy, what up, my brother?
Yo, Izzy is still alive. I am loving this. Izzy, always good to see you. He just said checking in. I love to see that he drops in.
That's right.
He likes to drop a little red meat in there, start the fights, and then be out.
What's crazy, man, is
you think everything is a pause, man.
Yes. What's crazy, man. Izzy, I was just talking about you to Bex and Cincy, and I believe Mantis as well, separately the other day, in your legendary entrance into my life, showing up into one of my streams on Spoon, and just famously saying, "Steve is my dad. He hasn't talked to me in 22 years."
I remember
that.
Who the
hell is this? I'm like, who are you?
Oh my God. I actually remember that stream. I was laughing out loud. I was like, who is this kid? This is brilliant.
Had me all messed up, man.
Yeah, Shaolin Icebox are giving us the love. Izzy says, what's a woman? What is a woman? We're not going to discuss that because I believe at this point the people who listen into the Fanboy Modeling School should already know that answer.
It's true. You should know. You went to school. I think you understand, man. We got a humdinger of a show tonight.
Right. Rogue Radio says, I appreciate you fanboys. We appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
We got Pokey over here.
What up, Pokey?
Izzy, where you at? Everyone's just marveling that Izzy came in.
Yes,
the bromance is blossoming into a beautiful homie hetero relationship. You know it.
See, is he trying to line me up again? What is he trying to do, right? He's trying to get me to publicly acknowledge the dad thing, right? And if I acknowledge it, then I'm on the hook for 22 years of back child support.
And you got to pay for his college, too. You got to school him, Get him schooled.
I'm not doing it. Catch me when you can, Izzy. Catch me when you can.
He's not being stereotypical black male at all.
No, not at all.
So you got any honorable mentions tonight?
So obviously, we talked about the Sneeko Sean Strickland thing, and I think we got as in depth as time would allow us to be. But I do have to bring up that UFC has a major card going on, UFC 300. Now, why is this a major card, and why is it my honorable mention? It's the 300, 300 events they've put on. Yeah. And they are catching a lot of smoke, Mantis, right now for what some people are calling a subpar card, pay-per-view that is, for $80+. Right? There was a time when your pay-per-view was $50, $25. It is now up to $80. And what we have, and I'm sure you're looking up the lineup, you're going to see it's a lot of, why would I pay that much money? But that's not what I necessarily want to focus on. Alexander Volkanovski, one of the greatest champions to ever do it at 145 in UFC. In fact, he passed Holloway and Jose Aldo as what people would consider the GOAT of his division. In case you don't know what division that is the division that Conor McGregor debuted in the UFC. He knocked out Jose Aldo, then vacated his belt, and it went to Max Holloway, who went on a hell of a run.
Steven.
Yes.
No side stories when you get technical with UFC. Just tell it how it is, man.
I'm trying to bring the people up to speed, bro. At any rate, man,
He's like on 35 years of UFC history.
trying
There was this thing called UFC 1, and
I'm trying to bring the people up to speed. So essentially what happened, Alexander Volkanovski got slept in the second round by Ilia Topuria. I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And I got to tell you, Mantis, it was sad. It was everything that we remember from boxing. When a young upstart shows up and says, no, I'm going to knock this old man out. I don't care how dominant he's been. I don't care that he's undefeated since he became the champion and he's been a dominant champion. I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to knock him out. And the fight started off, Mantis, the way it should, with an older man and a younger dude. Volkanovski was on his pedal, popping him with jabs. And I'm just like, oh, shit, he's going to do it, man. He's going to defeat.
oh, the young men always think they can work the jab because their coach is yelling at them for years. Work the jab, work the jab. They think the jab is going to save them. The jab ain't doing shit for you, bro.
Here's the problem. It was the old man working the jab. He's moving. He's spry. He's popping the young guy with the jab. He's catching him with lower calf kicks. And the first round is down. I'm like, Volk is going to pull this out. He's going to outpoint him or maybe finish him later on. My original pick was that Ilia Topuria was going to knock Volk out. But I'm like, maybe this is going to happen, man. Maybe the old man keeps his belt tonight. Round 2 starts, Mantis. And it's the same thing. And if you've ever sparred before, and you sparred a superior fighter who's younger than you, who maybe has the same skill set, you start to believe it. You're like, I got this young motherfucker's number. And Volk started to believe it. And then all of a sudden, Iliad said, that was cute, old man. We appreciate you, old timer, for everything you've done for the sport. And then called him at a 1-2 and knocked him clean out. And it was the saddest thing I've ever seen, man.
Was it worth $80?
Yes. The entire card was worth $80, man. But yeah, he knocked him out, man, and it was brutal. Now, how does this relate to me as a John Jones fan? You know why I love John Jones?
This is about John Jones?
Yes, that's what we didn't take.
We need to have wrap it up music here on Fanboy Modeling School.
John Jones has managed to sustain his youthful vigor by being suspended multiple times because of cocaine abuse, abusing his wife, and crashing into pregnant women who have no business being out at 2 a.m. in New Mexico. But Volkanovski is no longer the champion. That was my honorable mention. I want to thank him for his run and thank him for all those fights. It was amazing.
Cocaine addiction will keep you young until the day it doesn't.
Yo, if you haven't learned anything about John Jones, he's got the Chad effect. Do you know what the Chad effect is?
No, I was trying to analyze it from what the words are, but
so a Giga Chad or a Chad is someone that people might say has a great deal of privilege, right? John Jones is a Giga Chad. I don't think he's ever going to experience consequences in his life. He hit a pregnant woman, broke her arm, ran off into the hills, came back, Mantis, to get his weed and Viagra, and then ran back off into the hill, rendering no aid to the pregnant woman. How much time do you think he did in prison or jail for that?
Oh, 0.
Exactly. John Jones will never experience consequences. And here on Fanboy Modeling School, we celebrate his privilege because he earned it.
We salute you, sir. D says on a Thursday. You know it, girl. Well, there wasn't one on Monday, right? And you have to have Fanboy once a week.
Got to do it.
Izzy says, I'm not the only... Am I the only one on Twitch? Maybe.
Grin's found you, whoever that is.
Gran, holler at your boy. D says it always happens. So, so basically, my honorable... Actually, before we go into... Yeah, so what it is, I'm jumping on your first honorable mention, which had to do with the Sneeko thing. So here's what I'm saying. We have martial arts YouTubers. We have people we respect, we adore. We're like, this person's so awesome. I think they're great.
Right.
And one of those people, I have to say, and it's funny, I think we've only played 1 or 2 of his videos in our entire history of Fanboy. I watch more videos from him than anyone, and yet I play it the least here. That is Icy Mike from the channel Hard to Hurt.
I love this dude. He's legit. He's
legit. And I have to say, he had a very good video on the Sneeko thing until the end when he has the worst call I've ever seen. And I think I'm going to put that on right now.
All right, go ahead and play that, man. Folks, I do want to apologize for blowing my nose during this. Allergies, man. It's allergy season.
You pervert. Nobody wants to see that shit. Keep it in your nose. I'm one to talk. You guys don't even want to know what a snot festival is.
The View with the Drew. Hey, everyone. What's up? What's up with you, The View with the Drew? And I believe that your PFP is Logan. So shout out to you, man. You get the horn. It's a great shout out.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so I'm going to try to find it.
Vocalize any of this, you're a bitch. When you get hurt like that, physically, mentally hurt by a person, and
let me run it back a little.
Vocalize any of this, you're feel a little betrayed. If you've had your ass kicked, been in this moment to deal with. And I want you to look at Sneako's face right here. Look at the face of this man. And I can tell you what he's thinking. I've been here before. I've been in this moment before. You just had your ass kicked by a person who, like, you kind of knew you were going to get your ass kicked. You thought you knew what you were in for, and then found out it was something very different. If you've had your ass kicked by a coach or a training partner, you've experienced this. It's the most sad and frustrating thing. Because as a man doing like manly shit, you're hurt and you're scared and you feel a little betrayed. And you're afraid that if you vocalize any of this, you're a bitch. When you get hurt like that, physically, mentally hurt by a person, and I know that he shouldn't have trusted Sean, but there's no way that he could have known what was going to happen.
No, and I have to say, as of right now, everything he's saying, he's cooking right now.
Right.
That he is analyzing so well. I'm like, he knows what he's talking about. I mean, once again, the great wisdom from my man, Icy Mike, but just keep watching.
Shout out to him, man.
Yeah, seriously.
Sean knew that Sneako didn't know.
They should be sending him right now. That nothing he can do can hurt me.
He knew exactly what was going through Sneako's mind because he's been there. He's felt that. At some point in his life, he felt that powerless and that helpless. So mistakes were made all the way around, but perhaps there was no bigger mistake than the one made by Forrest Griffin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because Forrest was in the cage when it started. He was worried. Forrest was worried because they know Sean. But he watched. He was standing in the cage. Apparently, at some point, here's where he made his mistake. He said, "Oh, okay, this looks fine. They got it." And he left the cage. He went across the room to go train. Do you know where he was when he decided to come break this up? Right here. That's him back there. I've made that mistake. I've broken up quite a few of these things. I've mopped up some blood in here. But we learn Forrest will never do that again. Now, as for Sneako and Sean Strickland, what could they learn from this? What if instead of Sneako coming to a place where Sean's the man in exchange for Sean going into a place where Sneako's the man, what if we just created a place in the middle where they're both the man?
Right.
What if Sneako and Sean talk about influencers and like why Sean doesn't like him? And then what if Sneako says, "Hey, I don't know a lot about fighting and I would like to know more." And then Sean kind of explains it to him and shows him some things, teaches him some things. And they share ideas. Sean would understand Sneako better, Sneako would understand Sean better, and the entire world would understand both of them better. But I guess that just wouldn't be interesting. That wouldn't be as viral as this clusterfuck of a sparring in a cage. How do I know that? I didn't even have to guess. How do I know that? Because Jake Shields and Sneako already made that content. In fact, Sneako not only did great, he kept his feet, and Sean was definitely trying to drop him.
Oh,
Sean Strickland was...
Whoa! That's the take I needed to rebel against.
So here's the thing.
What am I watching right now? What did I just see? Come out of this great, wise man's mouth.
So when I saw this part of the video, when I watched it myself, man, now let me be honest with you, man. Icy Mike has the right to say what he's saying, right? He has the right. He is a man that's technically intelligent. He has a lot of proficiency and understanding as a trainer, a coach, a fighter, someone that teaches self-defense on a day-to-day basis. Where I disagree with him is you're telling me that the Sean Strickland that dropped Israel Adesanya and has finished UFC fighters was going as hard with Sneako as those guys. No, the fact
that's a no.
Is, man, I believe 100% based on the clubbing punches that he was throwing that he was literally just beating this kid up, man.
Yeah, he was just trying to rough him up for
Yeah.
daring to stand
That was
on
the
the
point.
ring.
That is the point.
And I've never seen such a bad take.
For
from such a
sure
smart
trying
guy.
to knock Sneeko
He
the
was
fuck
not.
out,
He was
and
not.
he couldn't. He was definitely trying and couldn't. That's a little embarrassing. Just a quick aside, if you
let me tell
want
you
to know how
let me tell you how I know that, from my opinion, he was not trying to finish him. The first part of the sparring match is him just walking Sneeko down, allowing Sneeko to get shots off on him in the body, getting shots off, on his face. Pause. You know what I'm saying? Like, just doing things where there was no real effort to finish him. If Sean was actually trying to finish him, he would have went to 10 at the beginning. And I've seen Sean finish other influencers before, other journalists and stuff like that. Sean just walked him down, man, and then turned it up for what was the last 30 seconds of a 5-minute encounter. So
Right.
I disagree entirely, but I disagree because I'm allowed to disagree because I respect this man. I have a different opinion.
Yeah. And so what's funny is, and I'm not going to put on every fight analysis YouTube video thing, but I will say, I don't know if you're into now he escapes, the guy who's the white dude who's in China, who lives in China.
Oh yeah.
Mormon.
Yeah. The bald guy, right?
Yeah. He had the exact opposite take. He was like, and he was doing the thing, and he was like, he was definitely not trying to knock him out. I don't know why anyone's saying that. Like, I was like,
I love that dude. He's got an interesting cadence.
Ramsey Dewey, that's the guy,
Ramsey
very
Dewey,
eccentric
yes,
dude.
yes.
The View with Drew, what up? He says, well, hello everybody. And then of course we've got Matt Cat in the house.
Matt,
He says,
hail
hail
to
to the
you.
chat.
Hail
Hail
to
to
you.
Mantis and Steve. What are we talking about? We're ending our little talk real quick about just Sneeko and everything. I think we talked about it. He says, I hate Sneeko. I hope he lost. He lost very bad. Oh yeah.
He lost.
Sean gonna be popping up at Icy Mike's gym next. Yes, they should have a sparring fight. They should have.
So, and let's not forget that, and shout out to Icy Mike, man, because he takes all callers, right? There are people, he's been caught up in a bit of controversy himself a few times. He had the back and forth with Chael Sonnen. He had the back and forth with Wolfman. And if you're not a part of the initiated combat sports world, man, Wolfman is a guy that he's a legit fighter, right? And he's a legit. I'll leave it at that, man. But I disagree entirely, man. Another honorable mention I got for you, man, is that this Nicki Minaj and fucking Meg Thee Stallion shit really got weird after we covered it, didn't it? Like we
it absolutely did. Absolutely did.
We were just talking about like lyrics and who was lyrically better. Motherfuckers were posting dead parents' fucking
Oh yeah,
tombstones and people
absolutely.
were showing up and shit like that. What do you think about that, man?
So what it is that's when I was worried, and so I was worried, and I realized that it was sheer ignorance that I was coming from. So I was worried it was going to get physical. I was worried shots were going to be fired. I was worried about all sorts of stuff. Didn't happen.
No, you ain't gotta worry about that type of shit.
And I realized this is just bitches talking shit.
Yeah, one got shot in the foot, the other one's married to a tough
Pedo.
Woo!
I'm sorry. Is it alleged pedo? I think he did time. No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I don't know if that's still alleged, right?
You don't have to say alleged, but apparently he's got time to show up, so he'll pull up on you, man. Are you guys?
Oh, Heavy
doing
Rain,
YouTube?
what up? Are you guys
What up,
doing this
Heavy
on
Rain?
YouTube and Twitch? Yes.
Wait, is that the Heavy Rain?
That's the Heavy Rain, Trisha.
Holy smokes! Holy smokes! What up? What up? What up? What up?
From back in the day, our old App Spoon.
Right,
Gotta love it. He says, "Good, Sneeko is a cuck, weak ass bitch."
That also says I'm on Nicki's side.
Here's what it is. I love Nicki Minaj. I will always love Nicki Minaj, and none of these new hoes
don't
have
understand
anything
that.
on them.
I literally do not understand that take. I don't know why you have so.
Wait, so you have Megan's?
No, fuck both of them. Fuck both of them. But let's get right into the main show, man.
Wait, one last honorable
Okay,
mention,
okay.
because it had to go. I can't believe it didn't even hit our list. But you know what? Why we probably didn't talk about it? Neither of us saw it, and neither of us are stupid enough to see it. Madam Web. And so that has everything to do with today's topic: women. Right?
Right.
Wait, did you see it?
No, absolutely.
Are you
not.
lying to me right now?
Hold on, turn the camera back on. No,
Okay.
I had no desire to see this movie, considering I know they drew the inspiration from a very controversial arc in Spider-Man, right? The Ezekiel arc, the
The
Reckoners.
Others, it was called. Yeah, it was,
Yeah. Like, I know a lot of people, there's a mixed bag on that. I would say it's 50-50 split. I didn't know there were so many people that disliked that arc about Spider-Man not just having powers because he got bit by a radioactive spider, and in fact the spider, he's a part of a totem spirit clan, and
it's
what
really
have you.
they gave him a magical origin and made it be like other people have Spider-Man powers.
Listen, I've lived through a lot of bad Spider-Man arcs, and I'm not a Spider-Man fan. That's the thing you guys got to understand about me. But I enjoyed that arc. I would never go see that fucking movie.
Actually, it plays off of 2 really bad arcs.
See, you're doing it right now. What do you have against the Ezekiel and what are those guys called? The Dementors or the fucking
Whatever. No, here's what it is. They keep doing this. I don't know if they do it in DC, but they do it in Marvel a lot, where they get bored, they run out of storyline for a character for a long time, and then they do a thing where they say, remember that origin that you really understand about the character? It's all been a lie. And they try this with Wolverine all the time.
all the time.
When they get bored of stuff, they're like, you know what you thought about his past that you've been piecing together for years and reading loyally? It's all nonsense. It's all implanted memories. None of it was real.
Nothing happened.
And I finally threw a comic at a wall when they finally did the whole Romulus thing, and they were like, he's not. They're like, Wolverine's not really a mutant. He's really an immortal wolf creature that has evolved next to humans. And there are others like him. And I was like, this is just like the Spider-Man, Spider People thing. And I don't want Spider People.
Yeah, the Romulus thing was really,
I
really,
wanted
really,
to be the
for
one
lack of a
true
better
Spider-Man.
term, it was retarded. But getting back to Madam Web, man, it's getting tore up, man. It's getting tore up like the town whore at fucking prom, man. It's getting tore up bad.
A Texas whore, well, doing something. That's what it's getting tore up as. So here's the thing. Just when you think they can't, and I honestly think there's a sabotage, they're actually sabotaging women. And yes, my current rant is pro women. I believe that there's somebody who just doesn't want women to be in comic book movies, and so they're out to sabotage every female comic book movie that there is. And so we've already seen bad ones. There's horrible ones. They're all over the place bad, right? And this one, they don't even have powers or costumes. And I was like, wait a minute. But in a trailer, I distinctly remember seeing 3 babes in costumes with powers. Turns out that scene is less than a minute long.
Right.
It's in a flash, like someone sees their future.
Flash forward. Yeah.
And then but it never happens. And they actually finish the movie without getting powers. This doesn't concern you? That movies are getting worse?
But here's the thing, man. I warned you about this, man, because I think it relates to a conspiracy theory that I brought up, man. I think at the success of the MCU, during the original phases, these other studios and other lesser studios were just like, we can't have people winning over here making comic book movies. Comic book movies used to be so niche, and so they wanted to take the MCU down, right? So Sony and DC, Warner Brothers got together, and they're like, how can we best defeat this franchise? Let's also make superhero movies and contribute to superhero movie fatigue and continuously pump out bullshit.
Wouldn't it be better if they just made a really good movie?
No, because what are the chances of Sony or Warner Brothers making a good movie that doesn't start with Dune or like, it's just not gonna happen, man. But it's a horrible movie. Even John Campea said it was absolutely horrible. No one has anything good to say about it.
And so, as we all know, YouTuber X, aka Grace Randolph, someone I always disagree with, literally, she could say "What a beautiful day," and it will be a thunderstorm, right? And so somehow, she's an ultra feminist who always has women's back, even when the art is garbage.
Right.
Even she literally destroyed this. It was actually fun watching her review of her take this thing down.
She doesn't even come up in my algorithm anymore, man. That's how far removed from that I am.
Well, if we really want to be mean, we'll go over Social Blade and see how all of her arrows are pointing down and her membership is dropping.
Oh, no. You hate to see it, man. And I mean that sincerely, man. I mean, you hate to see these old school juggernauts on social media taking a dive, man. And
do we hate to see it?
No, not really.
No, I'm getting off on this. And so, no offense to them. They've had their turn.
Right.
I can't wait till they crash and burn. Give other people a chance to get on the algorithm.
Stop gatekeeping.
Stop gatekeeping. Oh my God! Look, you're on fire, my man.
Just stop the gatekeeping, man. Like the fact of the matter is, man, like I am a John Campea supporter because I believe in what he does. I actually believe that John Campea believes about himself, and I think he is an objective person, right?
Right.
I've been watching more recently after, the whole thing. I still watch Campea, but more frequently I watch Screen Rant. That's I go to, I don't know if it's Screen Rant or Screen Crush. Whoever
Screen
the guy
crush,
is with
screen
the
crush
dog.
for the dog.
Yeah, I watch a lot of his shit because he can be objective about things. Like if it's bad, he's gonna call it bad. No politics or anything needed. He's just like, this is bad content.
Here's what it is. I think that sometimes a little apologetic with Marvel. I think he is apologetic to them.
You think so?
Basically, here's what it is. When he's trashing them, he's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the Marvel universe, but and then he'll criticize it. He's like, but remember, I am a fan. I mean, I do love these movies, but and like he's like apologizing to the fans, right?
I don't get that. I think he's saying he has said quite literally, I've loved what they have done. I do not like this shit now. Like
Right.
he's giving scathing reviews of the Marvels and all those things, and he's pointing out where they've gone wrong. But wait, I do have an honorable mention. Fuck all that shit, man. And this is probably going to be a controversial one. I don't know what your take on this is. Literally, I don't know what your take is. So you know that Avatar: The Last Airbender is got its release for live action, which surprise, surprise, is doing extremely well. People really enjoy it after that abortion, which was that movie that came out. So prior to that, I decided to watch the entire Last Airbender and Legends of Korra series with my son because he's huge into. He loves that stuff, man. And I was just watching it because he likes it. I'm like, this is not real anime. But I found myself by the middle of season 2 of The Last Airbender really getting into it.
Right.
And I got to give a shout out, man. Probably one of my new favorite series, man. That last fight between Aang and the Fire Lord was epic.
Such a good show.
I'm going to defend Korra a little bit. The reason that show gets so many harsh reviews is they had their seasons mixed up. Apparently, the producers didn't understand that season 2 should have been season 4, and season 4 should have been season 2, because you don't end a show with a B-list character as the villain. You make them the villain of season 2, and you don't give us the origin for the Avatar in season 2. That should be saved for the last season. You understand what I'm saying?
I'd have to see it again. It's been a while for me to analyze it like that, but this sounds legit.
No, bro, I got to be honest with you, man. And also, I really enjoyed Legend of Korra season 3 when she's going up against the Red Lotus. And spoiler alert for a show that's been off the air for quite some time. And obviously, they're bringing, it's going to be another season of Avatar coming out. When Korra is chasing my man, who's basically like the evil airbender, it is literally like reading an old school comic. Remember back in the day when a superhero just completely abandons their moral code? When you finally push them to the point?
Yes.
Well, Korra got poisoned by a motherfucker from the Red Lotus who was trying to kill her in the Avatar state, because if you kill the Avatar in the Avatar state, that's it.
Yeah, you kill the Avatar.
Yeah.
No rebirth.
No reincarnation, no new Neo, game over. And bro, there's literally a 10-minute fight scene where she's chasing this dude around in the Avatar state, in like a feral state. And I was like, holy shit, this is absolutely amazing. And then they gave me season 4, and I was just like, well, I can see why people call this show woke. Right? Like literally, I am always trying to defend things against.
I'm gonna be real. I didn't stick around through Korra. I just couldn't. I was kind of done.
Well, that's because you hate women.
Pretty much. You know, I don't hate them when they're making my sandwich or doing other things, but I digress. The whole point is, I don't like. Here's what it is. I believe that there is an expiration date on shows, and sometimes you beat a show to death, right? So if you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender from beginning to end, that is a complete series. You do not need anything else. And so if they're gonna do a sequel series, it has to be better, or get the fuck out of my face.
Well, where the
better, or get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, no, I get you.
You see what I'm saying? And just like the Bad Batch, I love the Clone Wars. The Bad Batch, not so much.
I don't watch that show at all, man. But apparently, the new season is, people think it's going to pop off, man.
Fan service.
At any rate, are you ready to get into the main topics for tonight, man?
First, I want to finish off these comments about
Go for
the thing because I think we prematurely stopped that subject. Matt says the Inheritors should have been the villain of Madam Web. I don't know who they are, but I will look them up later.
The Inheritors are the motherfuckers running around looking like Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay.
Draining the spider people.
Actually, that's funny that they don't show up in the movie.
Not that I know of. I don't even know if there's a post credit, but in the Spider-Verse comic, the Inheritors come back, right? And they are the reason that all the Spider-Man, and including Superior Spider-Man, who is Dr. Octopus in the body of Peter Parker, which is a great storyline.
Great storyline.
They have to face down with these guys, and they kill your beloved Cosmic Spider-Man, which I thought was fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. Pokey says retcon already has the word con built right into it. There we go. Matt says, yeah, who has an origin story movie without having your superhero put on the cape and fight the bad guy? Absolutely. That's Madam Web is a completely incomplete movie. And so the theory is that someone was embezzling money and they made this to steal money. Because there's no way this was a real attempt at a movie.
But it had Dakota what's-her-face in it, man.
The chick from, what is it, 50 Shades of Grey?
Yeah. Her parents are they were highly regarded B stars
in the 80s or some shit. I don't know who these people are. Shellen says Sony strikes again, baby. Yes, they do.
Absolutely.
Yo, and to be honest, some people think that like, so, and particularly Grace Randolph was like, oh, well, I think Craven will make some money. I think Craven is going to do worse than this.
Yeah, it has to bomb because I don't remember, other than the Spider-Man animated series, and I think one of the newer ones, that his powers, which he had none, he's just had a huge hunting prowess, had anything to do with lions.
Yes, they make him look like he's Lion Man. And so basically he's the white Black Panther because he like goes to Africa and the Africans give him magical powers and stuff.
And that's what happens when you go to Africa. Everyone knows that. You didn't know that? You go to the Serengeti, you get a power.
That's it. I'm headed to Africa.
You're going to get the power of like the worst animal there. You're going to get the hippo's powers.
Hippos are badass. Don't get me started on hippos. Matt says Grace's numbers go down because she hates men. It just means she's never found love. That's probably true. And I should be commenting this on a live stream, but honestly, Grace Randolph is a sad hag who's probably going to die alone and never find love.
But if you die alone in a condo, did you need love to begin with?
The Last Airbender is awesome, Matt says. D says, yeah, it's fire. I watched the first 4 episodes. I like it a lot. Follows the show very closely. CGI is pretty good. He's referring, of course, to the live-action Airbender show.
Right.
Korra should have ended with season 1.
Season 1, the villain who shares my middle name, Amon, it's a pretty intense villain. He's a pretty intense villain, bro.
He says Korra sucks. The first half of first season is the only good arc. Okay. It's like when Peter Parker broke into prison and yoinked Kingpin up by his chest fat. He says the Bad Batch is shit. Yes, I mean, I'm really not into these sequel series.
I watched one episode.
You have to know when your story is done or whatever. And already a series, by definition, it's almost like multiple movies or multiple series or like books, right? So let's say you have an eight season show. Do you really need a spinoff after 8 installments?
No, you don't, man.
I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Like, I don't even understand the story they're trying to tell with the Bad Batch, man, because that's not the story that people wanted when it came to the clones, man. I think we would have all been much happier with a pulp-like episode or series that shows us the demise of the clones and how they were basically replaced by an inferior army and how they like that would have been better. And I know they touch on that in the Bad Batch, but
I would touch on that a little on Rebels, but yeah, it's not really the full.
Yeah, I would rather see something like that, man. I would rather see something like that.
So you want to get onto story number 1?
Who is story number 1?
I think it's your girl Fanny.
Ooh, Fanny, that beautiful bitch. So, in case you are not in the know, well, actually, let Mantis roll it out because you just have a way of articulating this.
Okay, so in case you're not in the know, if you have ever heard of a man named Donald Trump, seems to find himself in a mysterious amount of trouble, like a lot of trouble. Like out of the blue, it's almost as if literally the powers of the forest themselves have come alive and animated themselves to destroy him. Literally, his own chewing gum is trying to kill him.
Yes.
And this means basically the Democrats are at it again, and they are trying everything to stop this poor fool, to stop his ability to run for president. Something that you would think would be something in a democracy would be encouraged, and that you'd allow your opponents to choose the person that they want, but instead we have the Democratic Party.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I can tell this story without being like super biased.
Go for it.
Okay. So now let's take ourselves over to Georgia. And I'm just going to say it, man. Atlanta, Georgia is basically Florida. It is the black Florida, basically. White people act crazy in Florida. Black people act crazy in Atlanta. It's facts, man. It's absolute facts, right? And so they get somebody to prosecute Donald Trump, which is Fannie, right? And her team. And so you'd think that would be easy. They're like, we've got all these trumped up charges. We got all these things that we want to like get them on. And of course, they happen to pick this woman who has a boatload of scandal and shenanigans, like, you know, in the past, not in the past, the near past. So it's enough that people can bring it up. Now I'm butchering the story. So let's just cut to a video, shall we?
And the important thing to remember about Fannie Willis as a prosecutor and being involved with the local government as a prosecutor was she'd already been marred in controversy. Well, I won't say marred in controversy, but she was a controversial pick because people were like, man, she's super, super friendly with the police unions. This is all allegedly. And it goes deep. It goes deep. And this is why you need to pay attention to your local government as much as you pay attention to who's going to be your president. Because if you don't, this is how you end up in situations like this. Now, Fannie Willis is caught up in a situation right now where she is prosecuting Donald Trump, but she did not take into account that as you prosecute one of the most notable people, publicly recognized people in history, that this guy might hire a team to expose you as well. And here we go.
This is what I don't understand. Here's what I don't understand. Here's the theory. Is it that no human is clean and we are all dirty monsters who have ghosts or goblins in our closet, and that really if you dig enough about anybody you're going to find something evil? Or is it that like this incredibly important case that the Democrats need to win, they just pick the wrong person?
It's both those things. And that's the thing. It's both those things. There's supposed to be a vetting process for this. If you're telling me that your entire, whether or not you believe it's a conspiracy to keep this man out of office, but let's say it is a conspiracy. You're telling me that the person you put at the helm to lead the prosecution of this person, you didn't vet far enough to know that they brought in a special prosecutor who they were having familiar relations with while that person was going through a divorce or was separated from their wife. This is what the vetting process is about, right?
Right.
I need you to be above reproach because you're supposed to be taking down one of our biggest enemies. And if I am publicly saying that this guy plays in the mud all the time and I didn't vet you, now the egg's on your face and it's on my face. And you know it's bad, Mantis, when The View turned on her.
Oh, if The View is not on your side, it is over.
Yeah.
Because they will side with pedos before they side with Republicans.
Bro, there is a subtle type of disassociation that's happening now where people are just like, you know, literally left-leaning people are separating themselves from Fannie and saying that she needs to recuse herself from the case. Play the video, brother.
Yeah, real quick, Matt says, who do you think Trump should pick for his VP? So I think he's going to pick, like all VPs, they're there to give you access to a group that you feel you're not going to win over, right? So when he chose Pence, it's because he didn't have anyone super religious in his corner, and he didn't appear religious enough, so he picked a super religious dude. So right. I think he's going to wait till the last minute to pick this person. I don't think Ron DeSantis or Vivek do anything for him. I think at best they're going to get cabinet positions. They're going to be secretary of something. Maybe Vivek could be secretary of state or something. He's a really smart guy. He really deserves a spot. But as for VP, it is anyone's guess. When he picked Pence, I couldn't have predicted it.
But it made the most sense because he was definitely trying to lean into the Protestant evangelical Christian sect, as you were saying, man. I don't think he's going to pick our boy Vivek. You know, I don't honestly, because I don't think the world's there yet. And also because that guy has some pretty radical ideas. He brought up the deep state on the Brilliant Idiots podcast, but his definition of the deep state indicts both parties. He said the deep state is the ruling class of middle management.
Right. I think it was perfect. Yeah, that was absolutely perfect. And I think he is right. It is both parties.
Yeah.
They're almost like a third party of their own. Pokey says Mantis with the scientificals. Fannie Willis, Marilyn Mosby, and Tiffany Henyard. What with women not knowing how to handle taxpayer funds? Blam!
Yeah.
Sounds like Matt Cat wants to run for office. He says, I'm clean, so fresh and so clean.
Ooh, good reference there. Good references.
You know that D had to be good. She risked it all.
That's a whole fact, man. That's
I like Tulsi Gabbard too.
But she's still technically a Democrat.
I love her though. She's so beautiful.
What?
Tulsi Gabbard is a beautiful, beautiful woman, and she served this country.
But what about her policies? Do you like?
I don't know what she's talking about. Can't get past those beautiful eyes of hers. Let's watch the video.
Hey everybody, it's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another episode of the Liberty Junk.
O'Shea,
course,
if
guys,
you ever come across our channel, man, respect to you, much respect to you. OG in the manosphere. Some people might say he is the guy that created the black manosphere, but shout out to your editor, man. Your editor puts in work.
He puts in work. Every little statement he has, it's perfectly timed with the crazy thing. Yeah, it's really good.
Hit it.
I came across this particular news clip on The Hill. Now, The Hill put out this just a few minutes ago. At the time that I'm looking at, it's 36 minutes ago, but by the time you see it, or this video could be many hours down the line. The clip says, Fannie Willis receives award from Black church while facing scrutiny over cash payments and love affair. I said, wow, this is very interesting. So of course I decided to press play, and here we go.
Georgia Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis accepted a Black History Achievement Award through the Atlanta Berean Church 2 days after appearing in court, where she was questioned by lawyers about her relationship with prosecutor Nathan Wade, who's also involved in the Georgia case against former President Donald Trump.
So this is very interesting. The Black church, which used to be the beacon of morality, the beacon of excellence. Those of you who might have come out of the earlier renditions of the Pentecostal movement, most notably Church of God in Christ or AOH, Apostolic Overcoming Holiness, which was what my family was for a long time, which is also known as the Apostolic Overcoming Holy Church of God, founded by the late great Bishop W.T. Phillips in Mobile, Alabama.
Putting me to sleep. Okay, move
on.
on.
Grew up in Pritchard, Alabama. So that's how we got involved in the AOH faith for some time. But we went back to being Baptist. So now let me deal with this. You couldn't even have makeup on your face in them days. Women could not even wear pants to church. Having sex before marriage, don't even think about it. Then let's go to the AME, the big dog of the Black American community. It is the first church, really, out of the Black community. The church that came from Philadelphia after slavery. Richard Allen, they even named a project in Philly after Richard Allen, the first bishop of the AME faith. It is the high society church of Black America, the oldest one. But here is Fannie Willis in Big Bethel AME trying to preach and clear her name after getting her cheeks clapped.
You're a Black woman, and I'm gonna just tell you, like,
okay, no, so that's funny that he did all this long prep, all this, falling asleep from hearing the history of Black churches, just to say that, right?
Well, it's important. It's important to say it because when the whole allegation first came out, Fanny went to a church and she spoke against the allegations, right? And she was basically associating herself with the black church tradition, saying that, you know what, they're saying I'm playing the race card, but can't they see that they're playing the race card right now and that I'm being wrongfully treated? Which is me surmising her whole point. Now, in case you're not in the know, why is Fannie Willis saying that? Well, she showed up. She was subpoenaed to show up to court to deal with this whole thing. And I'm still a little murky on this whole detail. If she was subpoenaed, but was she supposed to be there that day? She went to court and spoke on her own behalf, testified. And some people might say that her testimony is the most damaging thing that has happened to her in this entire thing.
I'm just going to say it. I don't even think it's just what she said. It was the way she acted on the stand.
It was the way she acted, and she actually incriminated herself, and Candace Owens did a breakdown for that. If you want me to find it, I definitely can in a matter of seconds. And I'm like, there's a thing where you talk too much. Mantis, you know I'm a huge proponent of shut the fuck up.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. Stop talking. You're incriminating yourself. And Fanny managed to incriminate herself, and that lends to what O'Shea Duke Jackson is going to talk about, I think, in this video in regards to the cash payments. And just like your boy Bob Menendez, she leaned heavily on being black, saying, I'm black, I keep cash in the house, which might be true, but motherfucker, she also admitted to keeping cash from her campaign donations. Yeah, that long pause. For those of you catching the recap of this podcast on Spotify, shout out to the Fanboy Modeling School on Spotify and all.
You never talk about something unless they bring it up and are on to you already.
Right.
That's ridiculous, man. These people are but here's what I'm saying. Here's what bothers me. She's a prosecutor powerful enough to go after the former president of the United States of America and a total idiot. And it doesn't bother you that an idiot was allowed into this position?
Well, here's the thing, man. It's like, can your argument stand up against your own scrutiny, right? So prosecutors are great at dissecting your argument, dissecting your part of the stance, dissecting where you are in the criminal prosecution process. But when they're put on the stand, they seem to abandon that almost entirely, completely.
Right. She had no witness etiquette, meaning, like, I'm saying she has probably put countless people on as witnesses, right? She's brought them up and she's coached them and got them ready. And then when it's time for her, she breaks down like a fool. There's one point where she's ranting and raving. She's got documents in her hand. She's like, going like this. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
So
just chill. Take a chill pill.
It's amazing that you brought that point up because this is quite possibly the biggest, allegedly, I'm going to drop tonight, man. So the Young Thug situation, the YSL, whatever that shit, I have no idea. It's too much, right?
Right.
With that whole situation, apparently she may have started out as a defending lawyer, right? As a defense lawyer for them and then switched to the prosecuting side. Now, if you don't know what I just said and why that's a big
insane
deal, that is something that can get you disbarred. So if you are defending a person and then switch over to become a prosecutor against that same person, you have already been disqualified. You shouldn't even make it into the courtroom, right?
Right.
But the potential of her being that is huge, and a lot of people are calling her out on that in and itself. So let the video rock.
Like this is not happening just because she's a black woman. The reality is that when you sleep with somebody that is your subordinate on the job, that typically does not end well for you. There was a governor of, what was the state? Missouri, a governor of Missouri named Eric Grettens, who had an extramarital affair with his hairdresser. Did y'all know that? He slept with his hairdresser, and she was his subordinate, and he basically got in trouble for that. I think he ended up resigning as governor. He lost his position as governor. Did y'all know that? Matt Lauer. Anybody remember Matt Lauer with NBC? Matt Lauer didn't hurt anybody. Matt Lauer didn't harass or assault. Matt Lauer didn't do anything illegal with anybody. He had consensual relationships. Now, he had more than one woman, but still, who are we to judge? Would it have been?
How can you judge a man for that? Consensual. Did you hear that? Consensual relations.
That's not the way that story broke, though, man. There was a tinge about when this whole thing went down with Matt Lauer that he had abused his station to basically make women want to sleep with him. So essentially, he's a man in power, and because he had that power, he used it to be like, "You're gonna give me a blowjob, or maybe you won't be on the Today Show. Maybe you'll end up on MSNBC."
I bet he did not say that. I bet no one would say that he said that. Okay, so don't get us sued, man. Don't get us sued, man.
Been better if he'd only slept with one woman? No, he lost his job. The T.J. Holmes and that white lady, they lost their jobs when they were sleeping together. Les Moonves, who worked with CBS, he also was accused of inappropriate behavior with subordinates. He slept with people that worked for him.
Oh, Kevin,
they took him down. Charlie Rose went down. I could keep going down the list. And the point I want to make here is that I find it really interesting. And I told y'all this when all this was happening to men, I was one of those people who said, wow, I'm really shocked. I understand if you want to take somebody down for harassment, but were you taking people down for consensual relationships in the workplace? Tavis Smiley lost his gig at PBS. Do y'all remember that? Give me a yes or no if you remember Tavis Smiley losing his gig at PBS. Tavis didn't nobody. Those women wanted to sleep with Tavis. What did Tavis do wrong? What is wrong with somebody sleeping with somebody who wants to sleep with them?
Right.
So here's the deal. If you want to know my position, yeah. Do I think that what's happening to Fannie is unjust? Hell yeah, it's unjust. Hell yeah, it's wrong. But here's the problem that Fannie has, and this is where that liberal democratic hypocrisy is going to kick in.
Here we go.
Is that the same rules that Fannie Willis and other Democrats want to apply to men? They're going to get applied to women. The same rules that y'all think apply to other people are going to apply to you.
But wait, there's more. Now she's admitted to having a sexual relationship with this man. Was she married to the man? No. But what does the Bible say about having sex before marriage? Let's play that clip.
In the Bible, sexual sins are clearly condemned.
I love
Adultery,
this guy.
consensual sex between a married person and someone other than his or her spouse, and fornication, sexual immorality in general, are specified. Sex before marriage or premarital sex is not addressed in that exact term, but it does fall within the scope of sexual immorality. The Bible teaches that sex before marriage is immoral in a couple of different passages. One is 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 2, which says, "But since sexual immorality is occurring, each man should have sexual relations with his own wife, and each woman with her own husband." In this verse, marriage is presented as the cure for sexual immorality. Sexual union within marriage, which is commended, is set against immorality, which is to be avoided. Thus, any sex outside of marriage is considered immoral.
So, and I'm not trying to say that nobody is wrong or whoever is right, but here is what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with this, family. I'm dealing with this. What do you say? What do you say as the church when you give an award for a lady who's doing stuff like this? What do you say? Okay? That's what I want to know. What do you say?
Okay, so basically, once again, super conspiracy theory, super Christian Roy coming out. And it's just further truth. It's just further proof that Satan has even infiltrated churches.
Oh, 100%, man. Speak on it. Speak on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this isn't the only issue where churches allow politics and they conform to modern day thinking rather than actually just turning to the word of God and seeing what they should do. And allowing that to take precedence over the way you behave. Now, I'm sorry if this offends anybody like this, but once again, we're talking about mainstream Christianity. We have mainstream Christianity churches such as Presbyterians, certain types of Methodists, and other ones like that who are pro-gay marriage.
Here we go.
And that is clearly sinful. That is clearly something that is not accepted according to the rules of the Bible. And yet, because it is a modern, accepted in the modern secular world, they allow it in that. And so I'm not saying that that's the thing that's going to drag you down to hell, but every time they do one of these things, it's eroding the basis of the Bible.
Yeah, man. Here's the thing, man. So the main argumentation against Christianity has always been that Christians are hypocritical, right? So my response to that is clearly Christians need to be consistent in their approach, their understanding, and their living out of their faith. Would you agree with that? Right? Someone says you're a hypocrite, you got to be consistent, right? We have to remain consistent. What you're referring to is the actual Catholic Church and Pope. What's this guy's name, man? Pope. What is he?
Is it Francis? Is Francis the current one?
I think it's Francis, and the concessions she's made in regards to same-sex marriage. Right? I think people would respect the Christian Church the same way they respect Islam, who is unwavering in this topic, but catches very little smoke from the left. If Christians said, "No, this is our response to this," there's no hate here.
And trust me, and once again, I'm not talking about all churches. I'm just saying some. This erosion has happened on some. There are some that will straight out tell you, they're like, we ain't game marrying nobody.
Well, unfortunately, the papacy, the Catholic Church does not have your unless you want another Reformation. And I was watching a video about this in regards to why more Catholic churches and cardinals aren't rebelling, because they don't feel like they have the provision to rebel against Francis, right? They're like, we can't just dump him as the team captain because we believe that he was wholly appointed.
Well, obviously that's a farce, because because you know what happened with Benedict, right? So they elected Benedict, and so he was a hard-ass, old-school priest who he actually wanted church services to go back into Latin. Like, he thought that a good Catholic will learn Latin so they can follow the services, like in the medieval days. Like, totally old school. He was totally archaic, crazy, like the opposite of modern. And they realized, the College of Cardinals, who are really a conspiracy group themselves, realized that they were like, we are already losing Catholics by the droves. People are walking away from this. And they're like, we need to have a hipper, more marketable pope in office. And so they convinced him, I don't know what pressure they put on Benedict, but they convinced him to retire, which is unheard of for popes.
Well, I think it was that his compounding health, right? His health issues where he no longer could fight that fight. But
normally those motherfuckers die in office, though.
Yeah, normally they do. I want you in particular to address Pokey's statement under Matt's statement in regard. Go ahead, look at that.
Satan is a newer rendition of the adversary. He was created by Christians just like hell was created by humans. They are literally damning themselves for the sake of moral superiority. Pony says, I feel judged. I'm sorry if you feel judged, if you feel like our Catholic stuff is hitting you hard, Pony. The Bible has quite a few valid points and have set many great precedents. But many people don't know its history and are quite wishy-washy with what they uphold and believe, just like their God. Yeah, I mean, obviously, because there's what we call modern theology, and modern theology has nothing to do with real theology. Modern theology is what people learn from television. They make quotes and stuff that they think the Bible is talking about. Like, for instance, I literally had to challenge one. Actually, I'm one of those assholes who, when I'm on TikTok or YouTube and I see someone say something false about the Bible, I'm the guy who quickly just puts a comment in and be like, points out their problem, and then I leave. I don't continue the conversation. But, obviously, this is a big one. I just saw on TikTok. Somebody put up a TikTok and they said, if money is the root of all evil, why do churches ask for money? And, of course, all these idiots are chiming in. Blah, 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 blah. They're like, look at this hypocritical blah, blah, blah. And I had to be the one to be like, it's love of money, asshole. If you're going to criticize it, you have to know what it says, for Christ's sake. I saw before this stream, I saw on TikTok, this guy was saying, the Jews in Exodus, when they start worshiping the calf, they're worshiping Baal. Now, here's what I'm saying. He's not wrong. They are worshiping a demon, but they're worshiping Moloch, not Baal. And I had to go in there and be like, you mean Moloch, not Baal. they're different evil gods.
Wait,
but the point is I always have to correct these people. And a lot of these people are getting these ideas from, like I said, television, video games. They're not really reading the Bible.
The deep part of the internet, or maybe that crazy guy that stands up on the corner in your community. So wait, Mantis, are you saying before you critique your opposition, you should be able to articulate exactly what they're saying before making an intelligent critique?
Right. And so you should hear what your opponent is saying, and you should probably dissect and analyze what they're saying before you jump on a stand, a public announcement, and start attacking it.
Man, wait, no, Mantis, you're not making any sense, man. But I heard someone say, or I read that someone had said, or it's widely accepted that this is what it means. So you're telling me before I can critique someone's opinion publicly, I should know exactly what their claim is?
Yeah, pretty much,
like,
bro.
I feel like you're trying to hold me down, bro. I feel like you're trying to hold me down, man. You're trying to tell me how to live my life, man. I'm going to critique what I think they're saying.
Because you're like, I'm feeling judged right now. I'm feeling judged. Another thing people think that they're like, well, if only God can judge me, then people can't make judgments toward me.
Okay, that statement right there, folks, that's a Tupac song. That is not a biblical argument.
It's not a biblical argument at all. There's always these idiot things. They're like eye for an eye. People think it's the Bible. It's just not. You know what I mean? And so there's just a lot of craziness. And what I'm saying about modern theology, people get it from TikTok. People get it from video games, and they're not reading. They're not even going to Sunday school. They're not trying to learn anything, right? And so. And this is the worst part, because I actually went to a church. We recently lost our pastor. She didn't die. She's fine. She just moved away, and so we have interims right now. But she was one of those people who felt, and this is totally not biblical, yet she's the pastor, that you have a moral compass and that you should do what you feel is right. And that completely is. This is a person who went to seminary, and I'm saying, like,
but bro,
that is why God gives us the Bible. That is why God gives us prophets, because we have to listen to Him. Our own feelings are going to lead us astray.
But here's the thing, man. I first of all, I agree with what you're saying, man. I agree with what you're saying. But to say that someone went to seminary it holds no weight anymore, right? Because we don't know what type of seminary they went to. My brother. Princeton, one of the most liberal establishments that exists in this world, has a seminary program. I know an Orthodox Protestant Christian that went to seminary there, not to learn anything, but to learn. I mean, he went there to learn the argument of the opposition, man. I want to get back to Fanny real quick over here, right? This is a show where people thought we were just going to ride on bitches, right? But let's just say something right now, right? We're not riding on these bitches because they're black or they're white, man. Here's the problem, man. Fannie Willis was propped up into a position of high moral integrity. That's not a place I would put Mantis or myself, right? She was relied on to be the person to help with the demise of someone that a party sees as in a low integrity place, right? But when it turns out that your own house is not in order, and now they find themselves in a position where they have egg on their face. This is the thing that's really amusing to me. There is no widespread conspiracy on TikTok, IG, Facebook, or any other place to protect Fanny. You know why? Because the liberals break their tools after they're done using them. I didn't come up with that quote, but I think it's very poignant. She was a tool. She was an instrument. And now that the tool does not serve me anymore, they've completely abandoned her. So now I got to ask you a question, man. And this is not for the faint of heart, man, because I don't like this term, but we got to put it on the table. Is Fanny having her N-word wake up moment?
Whoa, I don't.
No, now let me lay out based off the criteria that has been presented by other motherfuckers, right? Where it's like, yo, you're a conservative, you're going to have your N-word wake up moment. Okay, so the standard for that is one day the establishment is going to show you that you're exactly who you are and who they say you are.
Right.
By them not supporting Fanny in her time of need, is Fanny having her N-word wake up moment.
Because she not only thought as head prosecutor that she had status and privilege, she also thought as going after the person after Donald Trump, a very important job, that made her kind of above the law. And now she's being brought down, and they're reminding her, they're saying N-word, you better get back in your place. And so she is now even Democrats are not immune to this. right? Because it's true. It happens to Republicans all the time. We see the TikToks, we see the things of the Republican black guy finding out that the Republican Party doesn't like him so much, right?
Right.
But now she's having a thing that she's like, the same thing happens with Democrats because they're pretty much the same people.
Yeah, it casts you aside when you're no longer useful, man. And it's like that term, N-word wake up moment, right?
It fits. It absolutely does fit. You're right. You got me on that. Matt says, did you know in England, fanny means vagina? That's weird.
Yes.
Fanny means
yes, I did.
butt here. Pokey says, my brother went to Bethel to build houses for the less fortunate with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Wow. And he's extremely pious and devout and lives by what the Bible teaches. Simon Ghost Riley too says, not much, just finished up a new beat and a joint. Now I'm kicking it and playing some Fallout. Love to hear it.
That sounds like a good time.
Matt says, so do you think Fanny will turn on the Dems and the White House?
Fanny's getting a podcast for sure. Right? Once this all goes left.
Don't you see? That's how you end up on a podcast like this one. You fail at life, you become a loser, a public disgrace, and then you end up on a podcast.
And then you get millions of views. I mean, I would not be surprised if Fanny takes her conservative villain arc at some point, because the fact of the matter is, man. Well, let me ask you, man. Should her extramarital relations with a married man who was separated from his wife at the time, should this be relevant in her prosecuting Donald Trump?
Of course. Yeah.
There it is. And there it is. That's what the argument's about, folks. It's not about Fanny being a black woman and black women not being supported. It's like you had one job. And in that one job, we needed you to be beyond reproach.
Right, because people wouldn't even have really researched that much if she was not against Donald Trump. And so she screws them worse, because I bet you anything before they gave her the job, they said, people are going to dig for you. Do you have any skeletons in your closet? She probably said no.
And then to show up and say, I don't know, he asked me for 1,000. I paid him 1,000. I didn't verify if it was really 1,000. I'm like, what? What are you saying?
Another thing that I cannot stand. This is the most ridiculous thing out of all of this is that when they caught her, they were like, so you got him this cushy job, and then he's buying cruises for you and him to have a love affair. And she goes, well, I paid him back for the cruises. I have to tell you guys, in the history of humanity, no lover has ever paid someone back for a cruise. That is not realistic. That is the worst lie I've ever heard in my life.
But here's the thing, man, and this is how I know it's a wrap for Fanny, man. I don't even see black women, a certain group of black women repping for her on social media. People are going to let her hang out and dry, man, because what do you know, Mantis? Trump bad more than Satan, right? I'm just dumbing it down, the argument. Trump super bad. You were supposed to take down super bad person. You failed us, so we're done with you. Fanny's career is over, man. Now, obviously, there's no judgment as at this point if she's being recused or removed from the case. But it's everyone's like, I mean, for God's sakes, MSNBC is reporting that it's an inevitability, not maybe happen. They're saying it's going to happen. This is like the reverse Jonathan Majors. You and I were caping for Jonathan Majors, thinking there was a chance that he was going to get a fair shake. And it's like, no, Jonathan Majors is going down, man.
Yeah, I have to address something.
Coretta Scott, I didn't pay attention to that, but
I wish he didn't say that. Here's what I'm saying: we're all thinking that about our girlfriends, but no one says it.
Right.
Let alone stupid enough to get caught saying it. So I got to address this statement right here. Pokey says, but I don't like how they don't allow outside knowledge or criticism. Any publication not by them is heresy. So I'm going to point this out. And so this is a criticism about Christians, possibly Catholics, or any particular religious group, but mostly Christians, right? People say this thing all the time.
In this statement, Pokey's talking about the Jehovah's Witness.
It's not just the Jehovah's Witness. Okay. My argument is this fact that he's stating is literally about everyone. There is no Hindu on earth who would ever say, "Let me sit down and read the Bible," unless they're like super open-minded and a lax Hindu, and say, "Oh, this has points in it that I'm going to take." No Muslim is going to say, "Let me read, let me read the Rig Veda from Hinduism." What it is not just religions, politics don't do it too. Democrats do not read handbooks or knowledge from Republicans. What it is being part of any group, having any identity that has to do with knowledge and all these things. They're never going to accept other takes on it. Like, as a Christian, I mean, I have, obviously, because you have to go through general social studies and learn about other religions, but I'm never going to sit down with a Buddhist, and when they bring up something that a Buddha once did, I'm going to say, "Oh, you're right. Jesus was wrong." I'm not going to do it. No one's going to do it. There is nobody on earth who actually accepts other people's knowledges once they are ingrained in a system, a club, an organization, anything like that. Like I said, there is no Democrat who will ever sit down and say, "Let me listen to Alex Jones. Maybe he has a point." It's just never going to happen.
So I do want to point something out, though, man. So let me just choose my words carefully here. In modern Protestant thought and process, Protestants are way more apt to have a debate with a Muslim than a Catholic priest is, right?
Right.
They're like, we can go back and forth. There's no concession there, but they're like, okay, you want to debate the finer points of, I don't know, man. I'm just trying not to get
right. It's hard to pull them out.
Like if you want to debate, the Gospels that were not included in the canon, then we can do that. But you have to be willing to take the receiving end of it. I think intellectually what Pokey's trying to say, and I agree with you, man, is that fact of the matter is the organization defines themselves and they critique themselves. If we say it's canon, this is what it is. And we're going by a standard, right? And there are things like textual criticism and all these things that are used to set the standard. I do want to point out, though, Mantis, I don't know if you know this, I forget which, hellbound atheist it was. I find it interesting that so many conspiratorial groups on the internet will try to debunk Jesus, but I want to say it's Dawkins, one of the leading people in the atheistic movement, is like, no, Jesus was not a figment. He wasn't someone that was made up. This is an actual person that can be traced back.
Right. Yeah. He's in the census. They have his census report from the Romans. You know what I mean? So they do have it. But like I would say, even atheists, maybe the one you're particularly, he might be like super enlightened or something.
I think it's Dawkins. I think it's Dawkins.
But most of them, here's what I'm saying. Even an atheist, people are like, "Oh, they must be from a neutral point of view." No, they're from the point of view that there is no God. And so when they're opening themselves to other knowledge or things like that, it's to debate it. It's to debunk it. It's not. It's when they're like, when I'm sitting down and I was like, "Okay, tell me about your Quran." It's so that we can have an argument and I can take apart your Quran theory.
Yeah, but you have. I agree with that 100%. If you're truly like on a scholarly level on this, you're going to examine all the information available, right? And to do that, at a certain point, you have to be willing to go, okay, in my examination, I have to be fair and not bring in any preconceived notions. And I think the people who are able to do that are usually people who are like, hey, I'm a truth seeker. But back to Fanny. And the last thing I'm going to say on Fanny, this is literally the last thing I'm going to say on it. Like, when I say literally, I have no more energy for this woman. She's not.
Well, look at her in this very still.
Yeah, she's not the villain of my arc. She has not disappointed me. I understand that people fall, they make mistakes, they do stupid things all the time. My worldview allows for that. The problem is the ultra liberal, high morality worldview does not allow for it. It does not make a place for grace. And so they cannot conceptualize, and nor can the how can I say this in the most polite way? Nor can the non-theistic conservative. Fannie Willis is a human being that made a huge mistake and thought that mistake was never going to be brought to the public eye. But what have we learned, Mantis? What did we learn in social studies? What have we learned in all the things that New York education, which is by far the best, can afford you? If you try to put the system on trial, you have to be ready for what comes your way.
Right. Oh,
You have
right.
to. You have
Well
to.
said.
When you try to put the system on trial, whether it be Trump or it be Cuomo, you put the system on trial, the system is going to buck back.
Right.
And it bucked back, and Fanny lost this one.
Yeah, she did. She absolutely did. And I think this is another thing, and this isn't just black churches. I know. O'Shea has to talk about black churches because that's like his thing. But I'm saying this is not. This is all churches. This might be other places too. But as I know about churches, this is something you will not find in Paul's letter to the Romans about how to conduct a good church, right? But you will see this in modern churches. This heroism, where certain members of the church are held up and they're like, well, look at this person. They're a judge and they're very important. And let's all look up to them and have this hero worship. That is not anywhere in the Bible where you're supposed to have heroes or whatever. And think they're above sin or something.
In fact, I think the Old Testament dealt with this very well. I can't remember. Was there a book that dealt with it? Oh, Judges.
Oh, that's the zinger right there. Oh,
so we got another bitch that needs to be flamed, right? We got another woman. I'm going to refer to her as a woman, man. A woman who props herself up as a high moralistic figure. Just pearly things. Just pearly things.
It's
man.
funny how she's always coming up, but then again, she stays shaming herself, doesn't she?
You know what's crazy, man? I've seen a lot of female conservatives, red pills, whatever you want to say it is. I've seen them exposed. The only one that seems to have a Teflon approach to this is Candace Owens. No matter what people expose about her, in fact, they dug up her cousin from Newport, not Newport, from wherever the fuck, Newport, Connecticut. And that didn't even bring Candace down. But the video you're about to play of just pearly things, this is a death blow.
I'm excited. I'm actually, when I saw the title of the film, because I haven't seen it, guys. I only watch about like 1/3 of the videos that ever come this way. Sometimes I save them. Like Steve sends me a video. I'm like, I can't wait to play this and see exactly what's going on. Ghost Riley says, here's a question. What type of impact do you think she'll have on the next generation of politicians and political journalists?
Who's that? Exactly.
He's talking about Fanny.
I think she'll be a cautionary tale in regards to when you take on moralistic campaigns, or for lack of a better term, crusades, right? And I think it's so, for me personally, for Steve, real name, no gimmicks, there are certain jobs that are not just jobs, they're stations. They're, the status associated with them, they're above your normal standard of morality. So I would include teachers, lawyers, police officers, and doctors, right? I'll just name those. These are jobs where you should have a standard of morality that is above reproach. And especially with lawyers and police officers, right?
Or teachers. Look at modern teachers that has been exposed on TikTok and stuff. We see that. See how horrible it gets when they don't have morals.
Yeah. But when your literal job has to do with the judgment of others, you yourself must be able to live by the guidelines set out by your job. I think this is a very simple standard, right? And most people are like, who gives a fuck about her extramarital behaviors? But unfortunately, the law does. And her station does. And this is the thing you guys need to know. You folks need to know. The very position she sits in has a standard in which she's supposed to live her life. And that includes not doing it. Has a more Mantis, I'm sorry, bro. It has a clear-cut morality clause.
Yes, and so yes, and you know what's actually funny? I probably just a couple of years ago was a little more lighthearted, and I told you about this actually. I was a little more lighthearted about sexual sin.
Right.
And I too was like, well, what's the big deal? It's their bedroom, blah, blah, blah. And I told you I was visiting Virginia, visiting some friends in Virginia, and I was in my motel room, and I watched Saturday Night Live, and Saturday Night Live goes off. And after Saturday Night Live, here in New York, they'd play more comedy-related silliness, right? But, it's Virginia, so something about the Bible comes on, whatever. And I was like, okay, I'll watch this for a little while. And it was a guy giving a lecture about sexual sin. And I'm not going to go into this because this could be an entire stream of its own, but he basically explains why sexual sin is so dangerous, why it affects everything else in your life.
Right.
and that it's not that it is a much bigger deal than you think it is.
Yeah, and the crazy thing, and I'm glad you said that, man. The crazy thing about it is when you think about things like diversion therapy and like, you know, things that deal with people's sexual preferences and stuff like that, the Bible doesn't make any provision for what is the greater sin. In fact, it puts infidelity, I think, at a higher standard. Like it puts infidelity at a standard where it's like, you messed up bad. You messed up bad on this. But as I'm stating to you, man, if we're just keeping it on a secular level, right? You're an ambassador of the law. Well, the law has a thought on your behavior. Forget the Bible, right? I'm going to argue like I'm an atheist. I'm going to argue like a pragmatic person, a pragmatist. Your very job has a stance on your behavior. We don't have to bring the Bible into it. You failed at a human level at the standards of your job set on you. It doesn't matter what white man got away with it. It doesn't matter who got away with it. You got caught. You're a prosecutor. And in fact, you should be shown the same level of, fuck it, let me turn my camera on. This is for you too, Kamala Harris. You should be shown the same level of law that you have distributed out throughout your career.
Got her. And I'm just talking about Fanny here. Got her.
You should be shown the same level. Fanny has a prosecution record that you all should look into. You should look into it and then come back to me and tell me if Fanny if she deserves any grace based off of a secular judicial system that she was a part of. What makes her above reproach? The same thing for Kamala. Kamala is known as the woman who is prosecuted and indicted.
Yes, she
the most
is
black men in history
for not only just drugs, not just drugs, but like weed specifically,
Period.
like ruining
Period.
black men's lives for having a little weed, and then later on, as soon as it's legalized, she's smoking it and caught at a party smoking weed and joking about how she used to lock people up for this.
Yeah.
Like it's a game. Like some poor 18-year-old punk who got thrown in jail because it's like, you know, third strike or something of just possessing weed. His life is ruined, but she's living the dream at some dinner party.
Yo, my brother. Everyone loves to talk about the Merovingian in Matrix, right? We all love the Merovingian, man, because it's like we assume that that's how Satan operates, and that's what the Merovingian was in the Matrix. He's supposed to be like a Satan character. But Colonel Sanders in the Matrix, I forgot what station he had.
The architect.
The architect is the one you should be truly worried about when you're involved in the system. The architect judges you. I made this system. These are the standards that I've laid out, and I've weighed you and found you wanting. There is no one that can come to Fanny's rescue. She is excommunicado.
We need to get a digital stamp where you say that and then it goes boom on the screen and it says excommunicado.
Yo, do you know I was dealing with a low intellect person at my day job and they thought I made up that term, excommunicado?
Oh, really?
They're like, that's not a real word. I'm like, you suck. You suck. But let's get on to just pearly things. Read the comments.
Pokey says, that's why I'm a schizophrenic who simultaneously believes in all the gods and then flips to no gods. No gods. Ooh. She's not even hot, says Matt. He says, oh, Kundis. His Scansoans is a queen. I like Pearl. As well said Steve. Yes, man, sexual sin is worse than people think it is. Absolutely. They don't realize it affects everything. And if you ever notice that sexual sin is the one thing that we try to cover up the most because we're most ashamed. And it's the thing that is most likely to create a double life for us. And so what exactly when you're doing sexual sin, when you're on the DL or whatever, when you're on the down low and you're doing something you're not supposed to on the side, and I'm not just talking about, obviously that term is very, very
synonymous.
with homosexuality. I'm talking about just anything on the side, any creeping you're doing.
Yo, shout
To
out
use
to
a
Mac.
90s term.
Yo, shout out to Matt, the architect. Ergo, vis-a-vis, concordantly.
Yes.
Yo, Colonel Sanders' articulation and vocabulary, he's like, ergo, vis-a-vis, concordantly, Neo.
Yo,
Right?
that scene is amazing.
Yeah,
you realize, like I'm saying, the Matrix movies are like sometimes subtly brilliant. That this is like a high end, like techno punk, like kung fu movie, and suddenly he goes to the center of the Matrix, and he's in a white room, and Colonel Sanders is there using big ass words, and he's all these TVs, and you're like, what the fuck? You feel like you're tripping, right? You feel
Yo, the philosophy, the high philosophy. I'm sorry to all my friends from Harvard and Yale and Princeton, and the juxtaposed conservative versions of those school, man. But there was a level of high philosophy going on in the Matrix, the original trilogy. I'm not talking about that abortion that happened on HBO Max, bro. But like, essentially, one of my favorite things is I love to examine Agent Smith as an antagonist. You ever just listen to the dialogue of Agent Smith?
Oh, he's wonderful. He's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Like and his troll level is amazing. He's like, I'm unplugged.
Some psychopath who thinks he's enlightened now.
Wait, are you taking a shot at me?
What?
You trying to say I'm a psychopath that thinks he's enlightened?
I was talking about Agent Smith.
Oh, that's what I thought, motherfucker. I watched 4 videos that were 4 hours long on enlightenment, and now I am enlightened.
He's like TikToks. Shaolin Iceboxer says nobody is, as we were talking about, is anyone above it all, and he says we are all in the era of everyone getting their dues. Diddy, Vince McMahon, Trump, all these powerful motherfuckers are getting lit up. It's true, but here's the problem that I have, and trust me, I have no problem with people paying for the crimes and the things they do, but like the question is, while the mob is partying and being like, we've got Vince McMahon, yay, are they looking at themselves? Are they just as bad?
Course,
do they do the same shit?
Of course not, man. Because here's the bottom line: the mob doesn't understand itself as a vessel, right? A vessel that's being used. The mob is Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae is the mob. She's not a part of the middle management that Vivek was responding to or like exposing. And I almost refrained from saying this, man, because that door right there. I really do believe that one day I'm going to say something and someone's going to come and like, you said too much, motherfucker, and drag me out of it. The mob doesn't understand that their outrage is a vehicle of destruction or change. And all you people who jump on these campaigns to cancel, persecute, or prosecute, have you asked yourself one fundamental question? Do I understand the issue at large? Like, do you understand why Fannie Mae sleeping with this dude is an issue? Not you in particular, Mantis.
Right.
Do you understand that this is an abuse of power? For all you woke ass motherfuckers who are talking about believe women, do you not understand that this meets the criteria of the shit that you so vehemently fucking protest? Like, this is a woman of power that could have been using her power to pressure a man into coitus.
Right.
You understand? What if this nigga said no? That could have been the end of his career.
Right. And so trust me. I honestly believe that if it was a dude, if she was a dude, this would already be over.
100%.
Sentence would already be passed on this dude.
She'd be on the island with fucking Vince McMahon, Hulk Hogan, and fucking the rest of these motherfuckers. Bro, can we please get on to just pearly things?
Okay, super quick. Speaking of weed, Colorado has started double taxing the devil's lettuce. But it's funny because a few churches have started to protest it. Well, in Colorado, even the churches are protesting it. Wow.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's legal, so there's an argument to be made there, right? So
the Rogue Radio says, just came back from working out. What did I miss? Well, we analyzed the shit out of the whole Fannie Fanny Fatsack and everything going on in Atlanta, Georgia, and we were just about to get to
Just call her Fanny Fatsack.
Yes, and I'm going to continue to do that because that felt good.
And for all you people sitting in other places, I wanted to say the back. Don't make this about not protecting black women, because Fanny does not protect black women. Go look at her prosecution rate.
Oh, I'm sure she prosecutes the shit out of these bitches.
So now we're getting into just pearly things. Everyone's favorite defunct red pill darling, right? Once upon a time, she was up on the ride, high on the hog of being the red pill darling. Black men supporting her, like, just. And I was, Mantis, I love you like a fat kid loves cake. I had warned you about this bitch from the get-go.
No, you did. I'm going to give this one to you. I don't normally give them to you, but I will give this one to you. I remember in the real early days, before I really knew who she was, I was like, she's all right. She seems like a good girl. What's the problem? What's the problem? And she turned out to be the most toxic bitch who ever lived.
She is quite literally the unattractive ex that could ruin your life. But let's let this young, studious philosopher, Poetic Flacco,
LA fan. Okay, let's go.
Other interviewer at this point is a recurring thing, but it's her response and her answers to the.
Yeah, bring it to the beginning.
Just pearly things just got ambushed by yet another interviewer. At this point is a recurring thing, but it's her response and her answers to the ambush questions that made things a whole lot worse. So just pearly things has too many enemies to really count, but she does have one arch nemesis on Twitter called Sarah Gonzalez. Now, Sarah Gonzalez and Just Pearly Things beef started when Just Pearly Things tweeted out, "Yes, you're less attractive at 35 than at 25 as a woman." Now, Sarah Gonzalez will begin to tweet pictures of her and Just Pearly Things side by side, because Pearly Things is in her 20s, 26 to be exact.
Whoa.
Sarah Gonzalez
Hold on, I
is
gotta
in her
pause it real
late
quick.
30s.
That is fucking fucked up. Holy shit. Okay, so we all know Pearly is not the girl that you end up with. Pearly is the side chick that you hope no one sees you walking home with. Right? But the fact that this woman is rubbing it in her face.
Yo, I imagine that Pearly is the girl that you described so beautifully in the video, man, but not the girl herself, right? Pearly is the girl you throw over your shoulders at the bar and be like, yo, let me get you home safe. And you get attacked by nerds on the
Yes, right.
That's who Pearly is, man. And the fact of the matter is, again, here we have another person taking a high moralistic stance, and she doesn't meet her own criteria. Like, the statement Pearly made was that it's common fact that women who are in this age group are more attractive than women who are in that age group. This is the problem with your argumentation. If I say it, do I meet that standard? Do I meet the standard of the claim that I'm making? No, Pearly, you don't. So it is not a common fact. What you wanted to say is it's widely accepted that women of a certain age are more viable than women of another certain age.
No, you're right, because obviously you can't flat out just say age is the number. There are plenty of 20-year-olds who are busted, and there are plenty of 30-year-olds who are gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's absurd. It's an absurd
Mantis, the problem is these people didn't grow up in New York. They don't know how to make an argumentative claim.
So I'm going to point out something. I'm going to point out something to you. So I was born handsome. We all know that. Right? And so I do make comments about people's appearance. I'm just like, this person is busted. This person's chipped. I would never hit that. That kind of things. I'm like, even with dudes, I'm like,
in the morning, you would hit Pearly for sure.
I would. Like I said, I would not take her home to meet my family and friends. But obviously, if you want to do a side thing, if you want to do like a Sunday afternoon thing when I'm going for a jog, but like the thing is that, and so I will freely say that I know that I'm handsome. It works out. But have you ever noticed that I used to use phrases like fat ass, butterball, stuff like that. However, have you noticed recent years I've gained some weight I've not been using them, right? Because you know what? I don't have a leg to stand on in that apartment.
Okay, so
I too am fat, so I cannot do it. So here's what I'm saying. She's busted. So who is she to be judging anybody's looks?
You literally just said the same thing I just said. You don't meet the standard of your claim.
You said it in a smart way. I said it in a vernacular.
Yo, here's the crazy thing about Pearly, man. Here is the crazy thing about Pearly, right? You have become the villain in your own arc, right? Had you not said all these crazy things, I would still be debating with Mantis and Matt about Pearly and whether or not she is useful in this social conversation. But once you start wading into waters of attractive and use particular words, you set yourself up. Pearly and I had a divorce, not because of all the bullshit that was going on, man. Once I realized that just Pearly things did not have the ability to keep up with the argument she was presenting. You know why Candace Owens always tickles my pickle? Because she has the ability to keep up in that argument, and let's just keep it a bean. Candace Owens is fine. And if you haven't come to grips with that, that's your own fucking problem, bro.
You know, guys, we all know that's a life hack. People will criticize it. Incels will attack it. Yes, it is a life hack. You can get away with more shit. You basically, somewhere in life, there is a woman who says the exact things that Pearly Things says. However, she never gets canceled because she's good looking. It is what it is. So Matt says, I love it when you say Quaintus, Steve. I kind of hate it. It's kind of weird, actually. Pokey says, we going to tax all plants now in the name of equality, inclusion, and equity. No more autonomy for nature. I love seeing Pearly get dusted up. I do too. Oh my God. Shaolin, this is one of my great joys. Matt says, yeah, that Gonzalez woman is hot. She is smoking. Dee is laughing her ass off. She says, Mantis is so humble. I try to be, I try to keep it real.
You're not
I do
humble
it for you guys.
at
for you
all.
little guys. Let's see what Dee also says. What ended for me is when she served Sneeko sandwich. Yes. Here's what it is. I was on the fence about her. I was like, this bitch is spiraling. But as soon as she served Sneeko the sandwich, I was like,
now, let me ask you a question. Did it end for you because you're like, Sneeko's not the type of motherfucker who deserves to have a woman serve him a sandwich? Right, because here's my thing, man. I am saying this publicly, and you know how political I can get. I would take Sneeko on in a debate any day of the week. And D, I live for those type of debates because I'm like, not only am I going to body this motherfucker, like, not only am I going to body him, I don't believe Sneeko believes the shit that he says. Period, point blank. And I don't think he has the ability, intellectual capacity to defend it. But when I saw her give Sneeko a sandwich, I think that might be the most consistent Pearl has ever been in her entire social commentary career. Because her entire campaign is about traditional women and being a subservient woman, right? And being a Chad wife. Sorry, trad wife, right?
Yeah, trad wife. Let me put it. Let me put it like this: is that I thought that she was one of those trad wife feminists, and here's what I'm saying: people are like trad wife feminists. Yes, you can be a feminist and a trad wife. So I'll give you an example. I would say Candace Owens. I would say Brett Cooper. I would say Megyn Kelly.
Wait. Is Brett Cooper the transgender woman?
No, you're thinking of Blair White. Brett Cooper's that young Daily Wire chick. I would say a lot of these women who are like super conservative and they're like trad wives or whatever. People are like, don't realize they're feminists, and people are like, well, how are they feminists? Well, true, they love they have traditional relationships with their husbands, and all they make them sandwiches and they do whatever, blowjob after work, stuff like that. But what they do, but what they also do is they have their own careers. They're their own women, and they don't let people push them around. And so I thought she was one of those. However, she doesn't even know Sneeko, or she barely knows him, but just for clout, just to join this algorithm, she allows Sneeko to like push her around like she's a rented whore. That is pathetic.
Yeah, and I have to agree with that, and I agree with D's statement, but I want to address Brian. Welcome in, Brian. Welcome in. Trump
What up,
and
Brian?
MAGA sucks 2024. Not sure.
Well, thank you for that.
Wait,
Sean
they
says, hold
sucked
on.
it-
What happened
wait,
with Sneeko and a sandwich? Okay, super
yeah.
real quick. Can I address it?
Yeah, go for it.
So right after Pearlie lost her old friends, remember she used to have the recording
Her
studio.
old black friends.
Yeah, and
Old
she had
black-
all her friends were African or black, and that she was in UK. She was living in the UK, and she was doing all these things. She started talking. I forget what exact comments it was, but she started talking all this stupid shit about blacks, segregation and reparations. She was just saying stupid shit, and the black community turned on her. Her own friends were like, "Fuck you, we're out. We don't want to work for you anymore for your podcast." And so she was dying for clout, and now that she realized she had thrown herself in this red pill area, she decided to kiss up to all of them. And she goes on Sneeko's show, and Sneeko, they're in the middle of
in his
talking.
apartment. In his apartment.
In his
where he's
apartment,
shooting.
right? And they're sitting there, and they're in the middle of talking, and he says, and he doesn't say shut up, but he says, "Shh, go make me a sandwich."
No,
And
no. Here's exactly what happened. She's talking about the role of women, and Sneeko says, "Yo, can you grab my food for me?" And she wouldn't grab his food on a live. Now, this is
I remember her making him a sandwich. She didn't make the
No,
sandwich.
she didn't make him a sandwich. She wouldn't grab him some pre-made food. It looked like Chipotle to me, but she wouldn't grab it. And so the reason I didn't give her that much smoke over it was because you had just spent an inordinate amount of time talking about the roles and responsibility of women. And when he called you out on stream, I was like, well, this is a life lesson you need to learn. The problem was she didn't learn it. Sneeko called her to task to be the type of woman that she's,
Okay.
so she's saying that she is, bro. Like,
I hear that, but you know what? I remember her making a sandwich, and if she didn't actually make the sandwich, she just got him the food. It's not that bad.
All right. What? Give me a sec. You entertain the folks. I got you.
Yeah. No, but I believe that. I'm not arguing that.
I know you're not arguing it
right.
because it's this fanboy. The one thing we got to be right about is we got to be right about being right. Right. So it's like, let me find the fucking video.
He's pretty right. Shaolin says he got served many knuckle sandwiches, right? He says, Steve, you would mop the floor with him. Oh yeah, Sneaker's a joke. She got the shoulders to be a Chad wife. She's built like a brick shit house. Yeah, to carry all them babies that we're gonna be having. I would have no problem if the man she was serving was a good man who's consistent in what he says and acts like her. I agree. And so that's another point. If she's getting her boyfriend or husband or something like that a sandwich, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But she doesn't know Sneeko, and she's just trying to get clout off of Sneeko, right? So she's basically a whore. She's the devil's whore in this case, right? She's the whore of Babylon. She shows up and he's just like, and she's like so desperate to make this stream work, she'll do whatever. He probably could have degraded her way more, but that's the type of loser she is. And
so there's a few different streams with them on it, but at this point, it's been buried by so many other moments. But I promise you,
it's all right. We got our own video. I don't want to keep switching videos. It's too complicated.
Yeah, I promise you. Yeah, I wish she would have made him a sandwich on live, but she literally goes and grabs him his pre-made food. And what sucked about that for her was Sneeko wasn't doing that like they were in a relationship. And I'm not excusing it if they were in a relationship, but let's just pretend for a second if they were in a committed relationship. He's like, "Hey, babe, can you go grab me my food?" She's like, "No problem. I'll go grab it." This was Sneeko pandering to his bullshit red pill audience, and this is
smart
my
of him.
critique.
It was smart of him.
Yeah, bro, but this is my critique of the red pill. You motherfuckers aren't looking for traditional relationships. You're just a bunch of unhealed weirdos that you wouldn't know what to do with a traditional woman if she was in front of you.
That's the thing they claim. They're like, we want a traditional woman, we want a traditional woman. They wouldn't even know what the fuck to do. And their constant arguing against women is just they're talking themselves out of their own relationships, potential relationships. Maybe they should stop talking about how women treat them badly and fucking mobilize, and maybe you get laid in some way, bro.
Yeah, D's threatening us. She says, play the video.
she also said the way he made fun of her for serving him was trash. That's right. He mocked her too.
Well, Sneako's a weirdo, bro. Like straight up and down, man. I'm not saying this because I'm emboldened because he got beat up by Sean, man. I would challenge him on a lot of his views in regards to Islam. I don't know how much he knows about Islam. And I think when he gets to a place where he understands Islam, he's going to understand that he has to be judged by that system.
I don't think he's taking it seriously. Obviously, I don't know what's in his heart. This is the Mantis just like off the cuff talking, but I would say I think he didn't really join Islam, in my opinion.
No.
Brian says, good show, guys. Thanks for saying what's up. Absolutely, man. Thank you. Welcome in. D says Candace would never play the clip.
She would never. She'd make a sandwich for her husband. But did you know Candace Owens converted to Catholicism? That's a huge
L.
Yeah,
I do know that for her husband. Yeah,
so it's a huge L. But go ahead, play the clip.
Now, this is where their beef started. Sarah Gonzalez took an issue with Just Pearly Things, essentially saying that younger women are hotter than older women, which I believe is common sense. So points there for Just Pearly. It's been a while since we've seen these two interact with each other, so the beef was on pause. That's until Just Pearly Things agreed to do an interview with Alex Stein in Texas. Now, Alex Stein and Sarah Gonzalez has done content together. She's been on his show. She's actually helped him interview other women where she grills the women. Now, apparently when Alex Stein told Sarah Gonzalez that he was having Just Pearly Things on, Sarah asked to be on the show with Just Pearly Things, but Pearly Things declined and said she didn't want to speak to her. Alex Stein granted Just Pearly Things her wishes by not including Sarah Gonzalez on the show physically with Pearl. However, they were intended to get the content of Sarah Gonzalez grilling Just Pearly Things. So even though they didn't bring her there physically, they still found a way to have Sarah Gonzalez expose Just Pearly Things. And Pearly Things...
Yo, real quick, Matt said Sneeko, he hates Sneeko. He says Sneeko's trash. Sneeko just mimics Andrew Tate. If Tate came out as gay, Sneeko would come out of the closet in his next stream. I absolutely agree with that. And that's what I'm saying. That's why he's trying to get in the ring. He's trying to be like his boy Tate. That's why he became Muslim.
But the problem is Tate can actually fight. Here's the fundamental thing.
Right. Everybody knows that. But what I'm saying is Sneeko doesn't understand. It's almost like, I was going to say something mean, but
say it.
It's almost like Sneeko is autistic. He doesn't realize the context of things. Like you can't just walk into a ring with boxing gloves and and maintain a fight. You know, you have to actually train to get there.
Yeah, honestly, man, I think if Andrew Tate, who just recently said he wouldn't spar Sean Strickland, but I don't know the full context on that, man. Andrew Tate in a stand-up event would probably do a lot better than Sneeko does. Because actually, Andrew Tate has a very similar striking style as Sean Strickland.
Well, don't they have another problem with all these bouts are like they're the wrong weight class? I mean,
100%. Andrew Tate, I'm sorry, Sneeko and Sean Strickland are not in the same weight class. In fact, I would say Sneeko could probably drop a few pounds and go down to 155, right? Maybe welterweight. But at the end of the day, Sneeko can't even box. So he
couldn't even box. That was really amateur. He'd probably take one or two classes before he walked into that gym. But still, that was, you could tell he didn't really have moves.
Yeah. Play the clip.
Never seen it coming.
We wanted to bring on a colleague that you called a whore online, Sarah Gonzalez. You said she has a big opening and that you could throw a hot dog down a hallway. Is that how you described her?
I don't think so. I don't know what I said.
How did she describe her, Jimmy?
Definitely not that.
Are you sure?
They argued over age and attractiveness and all that fun stuff.
No, she insulted me. I just said 25-year-olds are hotter than 35-year-olds, and she really wanted to prove to me her hotness. So she just started sending me her selfies. I was like, wow, what a gal.
She's hot though, right?
it's just not bad
What?
looking.
You don't think Sarah Gonzalez is attractive?
No, I don't think
She was on the
she's
right
bad
wing beer
looking.
calendar.
Oh my
She's definitely hot.
God, she's hot.
I just think I think it's weird when grandmas start tweeting their selfies.
She's not a grandmother.
No, I think
she's a
it's
mother.
I think it's weird when like old ladies start like tweeting at me their selfies. I don't get it. Why don't you have like a husband?
Because age is the only thing she might have over her, so she's trying to play that card, but no one's falling for it.
No, they're gonna hold her to the cross on this one.
You though.
Well, don't you?
I feel like at this point, owning or humbling just Pearly things almost feel like bullying. She's been through enough, bro. Like she has gotten.
She hasn't learned her lesson.
She's
man.
gotten exposed.
She needs
enough.
more.
Like, it's bad out here for just Pearly things in 2024. It's not looking good for Pearl. So I feel like owning her in 2024 is damn near embarrassing. But watching Pearl get humble is probably our favorite pastime hobby. Well, Pearl didn't even see it coming. Like, Pearl is telling these guys or talking to these guys as if they are naive about the situation. But they know all the details and all the facts about the situation and even had, like, the receipts, like, already pulled up for it, right? That should be the first sign. Like, they're talking to her as if they didn't know what their beef was about, but they already had the assets lined up. But as the conversation progresses, they let Pearl know that Sarah Gonzalez has a little message for her. Now, Pearl at this point looked shocked and looked confused and didn't know what was going on, but she still rolled with the punches to hear out exactly what Sarah Gonzalez had to say. And what Sarah Gonzalez had to say was bad. And I don't think if Pearl knew beforehand, she would have agreed to sit there and have that message read out loud.
Well, we got her to do a video question. Come on, let's play the question.
All right.
Hey Pearl, Sarah Gonzalez
Well, you gotta
here.
represent
Unfortunately,
this moment.
I wish that I could be meeting you in person. I'm told that you didn't want to do that in studio. So I thought that I would go ahead and ask you about your statement that 16-year-old minors are more attractive than adult women. Have you always been attracted to minors? Have you sought help for this? Obviously, this is a big problem, and I look forward to your response.
Ball's in your court. What do you say to that, Pearl?
Pearl has this deer in headlights look as soon as she's reading the 16-year-old.
Now, here's the crazy thing. Here's the crazy thing. When she tweeted it, does she have someone tweeting for her? She didn't think that would come back to her?
Apparently not, bro.
Saying that 16-year-olds are more attractive than 26-year-olds?
Apparently not.
Oh, my God. How does she not know people would question her about that?
And then Pearl tries to play it off with the super cringe, disingenuine, inauthentic laugh and scoff. But you can tell she got Pearly things really good because Pearly things' immediate response made absolutely no sense, right? And it was her trying to play semantics, but wasn't doing a great job at it. And it came across as like just dumb because we all read the exact same thing together.
Where did I say I'm attracted to minors?
I never said that. This is all allegedly. This is all in a video game on Minecraft.
It's on her Twitter account right there.
Well, to be honest, I'll tell you what inspired that tweet. And I've talked about this before.
Now, the scoff and the inauthentic laughter would have probably worked if we all didn't just read the tweet together. If we didn't read the tweet and somebody was just reading it back to Pearl as a reference.
She saw right
and
through
Pearl
that.
said, scoff. When did I say I was attracted to 16-year-olds? That probably would have worked. But if we read what you said, Pearl, then we understand that right there is just you trying to evade the question or be elusive. You stated that 16-year-olds are hotter than 25-year-olds or 26-year-olds. Well, then the question is, Pearl, why are you a fully grown adult female who was over 25 years old? Why do you believe that 16-year-olds, adolescents, is hotter than 25-year-olds? It's sickening. Right? It's sick. So nobody, is accusing you of being attracted to 16-year-olds, but if you think
And here's the problem. Pearl made a claim. She made an objective claim from her worldview that 25-year-olds are hotter than 35-year-olds. 16-year-olds are hotter than 25-year-olds. But she didn't think out her response, right? And this is the problem with this shit, man. You said it and you didn't think it out. So now people are calling you on that. So even if you're not saying personally that you're attracted to 16-year-olds, you are saying that 16-year-olds are more viably They are
Right.
more sought after than 25-year-olds. So in making that claim, now you got to defend it. You have to defend it.
And does she not think she has to defend all these crazy things? She says a lot of crazy things.
I don't think she does, man. I really don't think she, and that's the problem with a lot of these people. I don't think they think they're gonna have to back.
Well, I'm saying
shit
she literally says, and this is one of her shirts. Women shouldn't vote.
right
I mean, that's
now. If you believe that, it's like you're like, okay, I'm with Pearl, but then when Pearl gets pressed on it, well, why shouldn't women like vote?
right. She has no answer.
Exactly.
Exactly. She's
like when she
clout-chasing,
called
right?
out Martin Luther King for being a race hustler. I was like, well, wow, this is an interesting take.
Devil.
Could you expound?
16-year-olds
on
are
that?
hot. Well, that leaves the like that leaves the window open for us to assume you're attracted to 16-year-olds. But nonetheless, though, why are you, a fully grown adult, think that 16-year-olds are hot? That's the sickening part. Now, Pearl tries to explain this away, but even her explanation makes absolutely no sense, and it comes across as disingenuous as well.
0.2 million views.
Yeah, no. It was basically that when I was 16, I was better looking than at 26. I was 26 when I tweeted that. So it wasn't based on anyone else.
Pearl is lying in our faces as if the tweet wasn't enlarging and read out loud together. You didn't say I was hotter at 16 than 26. You stated that chicks are hotter at 16 than they are at 26 years old. You wasn't talking about yourself. You was talking about 16-year-old girls, right? More than one. All 16-year-old girls, some may assume.
Okay, pause.
So, it's as if,
Shout out to Flacco, but that's actually not what the tweet is claiming. The tweet itself is claiming that 16-year-old, from the context that Pearl is probably speaking from, if I'm looking at all things and all the data available, are more attractive than 25-year-olds. But the problem is the claim in itself. You don't live in a country where it's socially acceptable to be attracted to 16-year-olds unless you're a 16-year-old. And that's the fucking problem, Mantis. We got dumb people speaking on these topics. It's like your claim is that they are more attractive. According to whom? Who are they more attractive?
Right. Where is
than
she getting
over-
this information? Is this, is it personal? Is it whatever?
Right.
And this is what the internet has done, though. It has invited everyone to chime in on everything. And the thing is that the reason why they used to only let experts talk about shit in public before the internet is so that this kind of shit didn't happen. That you didn't have pearly things come over.
morons talking about it.
Right.
Yeah. But it doesn't change the fact that you would still smash pearly things, right? I mean,
Well,
when
here's
she's
what I'm
wearing-
saying. Hypothetically,
when she's wearing the orange dress, I think it accents her red hair more. But I'm gonna be honest with you. If I didn't know Pearly from a hole in the wall, I'd be like, "Are you organic?" Or you
what I'm saying is, I'm not going to ask you because you're a married man. But what I am simply saying is, she's not grotesque, so I would hit it. Why would I not hit it?
Well, we got to put some context on that. I think you would hit it if you're at Applebee's and it's 2 a.m.
Right. That's what I'm saying, and I keep saying that. I would not wife her up. I would not bring her back to meet my friends, stuff like that. But I'm saying if we're talking about Applebee's 2 a.m. or some shit, or it's closing time, right? And the bartender's like, "You guys got to get out." Yeah. And
I need somewhere to stay. I need a warm place.
Right, exactly. She'll be my innkeeper for the night.
all right. Continue.
I hope Pearly gets punched in this video.
She understands she messed up badly, and instead of saying, listen, man, bro, I worded that horribly wrong. I'm sorry. No, I don't think 16-year-olds are hotter than 26-year-olds, bro. I'm not a pedo. I'm not. She's making excuses, and that leaves the room for us to think maybe she is, right? Because if you truly can't really break down how what you tweeted was misinterpreted or how you got it wrong or why it was a mistake, if there really wasn't no mistake there in your typing of that particular post, then that means you meant to post that. That means you meant what you posted. That means you truly believe that 16-year-olds are more attractive than 26-year-olds, and as somebody like Pearl who's been accused of going both ways, that will mean that you are attracted to 16-year-olds. I don't want to go down that
Okay,
loophole 'cause
pause
I
it.
truly
So,
don't know.
yo, shout out to Flacco,
But-
man. But this is what happens when we let people have access to this conversation, but they're fucking maybe not educated on the whole thing. The argument is lazy in its point. Pearly is saying that 16-year-olds are more attractive than 25-year-olds. So from that, I deduced that she's talking about from her context and her confines that in a red pill scenario, they are more valuable as women. Now, you and I are going to refute that because we live in the West, and we're going to say, whoa, 16-year-olds are off the menu. Pearly, you're off base. What he's saying is the worst part of this conversation, right? You can just leave it there, right? I don't believe that Pearly, I would not deduce from that Pearly is attracted to 16-year-olds. I would deduce that she's fucking stupid. And the statement she made was stupid, right? And all that shit, man. That's where I draw the line, right? I jump off the ship here, like, you made a dumbass statement and you did not think that people would like scrutinize it, right?
I mean, that's what Twitter is nowadays, right? People not thinking before they tweet. People not thinking that people will call them out or there's no ramifications, right?
That's why I don't tweet, man. That's why I don't tweet. Literally.
That's why I've been kicked off Twitter twice. Because, you know, I tell it how it is and people aren't ready to hear it. I don't say crazy things like 16-year-olds are hot. I don't know what sicko would say that, but, you know.
Well, that's what happens when you don't have a real publicist, man.
And you see that she doesn't get kicked off. I get kicked off for stupid shit, but she's never been kicked off.
Yo, so let me ask you a question, man. We're gonna get into the whole Alec Baldwin thing here in a second, man. And I just want to point out another time where I was right. Not saying that you disagreed with me, but when the whole Alec Baldwin thing kicked off in regards to the young lady dying because of a gun that had not been fully vetted or tested, tragedy, right? But I remember saying, who's that bitch with the two guns in her hands? And you're like, oh, that's the armorer. I'm like, well, what's her job? You're like, well, her job is to verify the guns and make sure everything's good. I'm like, well, why is Alec Baldwin being prosecuted if that's her fucking job to make sure
right.
As the head armorer, there are no live bullets. Remember, we lost Brandon Lee, not even from a live bullet. He got hit with shrapnel from a fucking blank. So, yeah, I want to talk about that, man. I want to talk about why women are not up in arms about this.
Well, they're not up in arms about.
Well, women can do whatever men do, right?
What?
Women can do whatever men do. That's the claim, right?
That's the claim. I mean, I don't believe that.
Well, do you not think that a woman is competent enough as an armorer to make sure that no live bullets?
Well, okay, armorer, yes, but you made the statement anything, and I was like, okay, simmer down,
well,
guy.
That's what they're saying. I'm not saying it, but doesn't this hurt the movement, right? If you can't do a job where you're not doing any physical labor and your only job is to make sure motherfuckers don't die from actual bullets,
right?
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird. It's weird. It's weird
Yes,
to me. I'm
it
just
is
saying,
weird.
like, your job is to make sure no real bullet make it into gun. And then if you're on drugs, like, look at this human being. I wouldn't trust him. I
wouldn't trust this bitch either. Let's hear what's going on here.
22nd, New Mexico v. Hannah Gutierrez Reed, also known as the first of the two Rust film shooting trials, is set to pick a jury. And if they manage to seat a jury in one day as is expected, the trial will begin with opening statements the following day. I'm currently on a trip, but nevertheless,
I want
plan
them to throw the
stream
book
and
at
recap
her.
this trial from soup to nuts, from beginning to end. And if you want to follow along, you might want to know what to expect from trial. And after
soup
looking
to
through some of the
nuts.
filings and
Soup
watching
to
some of
nuts?
the
Yeah,
recent
no, I thought it was
hearings, I have a few thoughts. So let's get into it. First, let's talk about background. As you probably know, this case, very much like the companion case against Alec Baldwin, is a result of the October 21st, 2021 on-set death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Alec Baldwin was rehearsing a shot with Hutchins to set some camera angles for a cross draw of a revolver. In interviews, Baldwin has admitted that he pulled the hammer back of the revolver and that when he let go of the hammer, the gun went off.
I said, do you see that? She goes, well, just cheat it down and tilt it down a little bit like that. And I cocked the gun. I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And she says, and then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off.
By the way, I've seen, I follow certain legal people, and as I know you do, on YouTube, and pretty much all the ones that I've seen have been like, why the hell did his lawyers allow him to freaking do an interview?
Yeah, no interviews when you're being prosecuted, man.
Yeah, that's totally, or possibly, right? He should have realized it was possible that he could have, and I think he thought he was trying to fix it, but why did his lawyers not say, are you fucking crazy? You shut the fuck up and you stay home.
Shut the fuck up. And I would say the same thing because I know you're not a fan of the Monarch, but you do enjoy their show on Netflix. And when that pederast got interviewed, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Was it Prince Philip? What's this motherfucker's name?
Prince Andrew.
Prince Andrew is the key example of that. Shut the fuck up, bro.
Yeah, just shut the fuck up.
No, he should. If he harmed young girls, he should be prosecuted. But I'm just looking at it as, as you liberals would say, from a legal aspect. Bro, who the fuck cleared this interview? Where are your handlers? Why did you think that
he's doing demonstrations? That means like he's setting it up so like when he goes to court, like theoretically, someone could defute what he says. That's what it is. As soon as you tell a story, they want to pick it apart, right? So, and even I know this, and I'm a bum. So like, I don't know what he was doing, but
you're not a bum. You're an impoverished person like myself that judges people outside of our monetary status.
Right, exactly. We make fun of the rich and famous, like pearly things. What a whore!
You should like and subscribe. Oh wait. I heard a crazy take. I'm glad I finally remembered to bring it up to you. Someone on Instagram said Miley Cyrus is the woman you guys are trying to pretend Taylor Swift is, like the artist. And I was like, holy shit, I need to investigate this. So I love
here's what I'm saying. I believe that the best album of this year was Endless Summer Vacation by Miley Cyrus. I thought it was amazing. She is amazing, and so she's the person that she's amazing, and Taylor is whatever.
Yeah, I went and listened to their albums side by side, and I judged it by the standard you should judge it by, talent. And I was like, oh, wait, Miley Cyrus has a much better vocal voice than Taylor Swift, period.
But also the subject matter, the better songwriting. The songs are like really well written.
Yeah. I mean, she's a whore. They're both whores, though, right?
No, Miley Cyrus has grown out of her whore phase.
She hurt one of the Thor brothers.
Or he hurt her.
Oh, here you go with your simping. Play the video, you simp ass motherfucker.
I let go of the hammer of the gun goes off.
At the moment. The decisive
that was the moment the gun went off. Yeah, that was the moment the gun went off.
Now, sometimes people get angry with me when I use some passive language to say something like the gun went off as opposed to Alec Baldwin pulled the trigger. But I want you to know that when I use that kind of language, it's not to suggest that I have some sort of belief in Baldwin's innocence or his lack of liability. Rather, I use that kind of language because whether or not he pulled the trigger is actually a fact that is in dispute.
Yo, wait, hold on. You watch these women? Steve? Okay, so we don't have Steve. And we don't know if he watches these women, but like...
Expert witnesses are likely to be called, at the very least in Alec Baldwin's trial, to give their opinions as to what's possible or not possible as to the mechanics of the revolver related to pulling the trigger. And so it's my personal policy when talking about these cases that allegations and facts that are in dispute can't be taken for granted. And this is especially true if we want to bring a fair presentation of this case to the public. So, okay, That aside, a major contention in both the case against Alec Baldwin and Hannah Gutierrez
Steve,
Reed
you watch
is
these women?
how the live rounds made it onto the Rust film set.
I watched
Understandably,
this entire
Gutierrez
thing.
Reed, who was the armorer on set in charge of
Pause it,
safety and maintenance of
everyone.
all on-set.
Yes, she's a bit white.
Well, her race did not come into
No,
my
not race.
debate.
I'm sorry. That was a joke. I was making a joke. Bland. Let's say
But
bland.
she's extremely bland, but
She's
I
trying.
wanted a pragmatic approach to this because when we initially covered this, my standpoint was that Alec Baldwin, as the producer, delegated certain responsibilities to certain people because they were experts. And if I delegate the responsibility to you as an expert, that's me making sure that the culture that we're living in, not to sound overly corporatized, is a safe space. Are you following me thus far?
I agree. Absolutely.
So I know nothing about armory. I'm the producer. I hire
How
someone.
could you
to
know
be
about bullets and shit? Yeah.
I know the general science, but I hire someone to elevate the understanding of that. If the person who was in charge of these things is in fact a drug addict, and that was not knowledge I was privy to, by the legal standard, I feel like this is going to be the thing that gets him off. Also, a pause. It was your fucking job to make sure that there were no live bullets, which you and I are probably going to say something very similar to what the general population would say. Why would there be live bullets at all?
Right. Why would there be anywhere near that gun? Why would there be in your car? Why would live bullets go in your car from your home into this situation? Like,
Right.
why? It turned out that there were a bunch of them throughout her blank boxes.
We're not talking about some of my AR-15 bullets made it into the set. My bad. Don't worry, this gun can't fire them. Your job as the armorer, as the expert, is to make sure that nothing like this happens.
Right.
Why are we trying to scapegoat this man? Why?
So here's what this is the second time they're trying to prosecute him. The first one fell apart. So basically the thought process is that the district attorney, and a lot of district attorneys like this, they want to prosecute celebrities because a lot of people, particularly Democrats and left-leaning cities, I just have to say it, think that celebrities are fat cats who are above the law. So when they have a chance to prosecute them, to make it look like they're doing their job, they're like, look, I brought down Alec Baldwin.
Right.
This is clearly, I think this is ridiculous. It's an overreach. He didn't do it. It's all the armorer. We're going to watch a little more of this, but I'm telling you, like, I'm very firm in this already.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they're going to reveal more shit that's going to make me change my mind.
And
but
the fact that the bitch was allegedly on coke, it was like, yo, hold
I didn't
my
even know that
yayo. Hold my yayo.
I didn't even know that part, but all I do know is that, like, it is not his job to check the bullets. It is hers. That's her sole purpose. If that's her sole purpose for being on the thing, then therefore she's at fault. Right?
That's culpability, especially.
Yeah,
in a
I mean, it's
civil
not logic. So why are they fucking with him? I don't know. Obviously he did what he did with the gun, just because, assuming that it was safe because it got a clear from the armor.
Right.
It's the same thing. Like when you go on a roller coaster, you assume you're gonna be safe because the person inspected your shit, right? It goes on and on. I could go on and on.
Engineer. We're all assuming that everyone's doing their jobs that they've been delegated to.
Right. So why would it be this guy's fault? It's crazy. It's weird, but let's see. Maybe this white woman has more to reveal.
That weapons is really feeling the heat on this particular issue. For Baldwin, on the other hand, it's more of an excuse for his own liability. But in Gutierrez Reed's case, prosecutors have said that they have tons of evidence showing that she's the one that brought live rounds on set. Meanwhile, defense attorneys have charged that Gutierrez-Reed was a victim of sabotage, and they say that they have tons of evidence that it was someone else who brought those live rounds on set. So that's going to be one of the most important arguments in this trial, and I can't wait to see what kind of evidence both sides bring forward to prove their case. Now, before we get any further, let's talk about the actual charges against Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. The state of New Mexico has charged her with two main crimes. The first is involuntary manslaughter, and the second is evidence tampering. For involuntary manslaughter, like Alec Baldwin, she's actually being charged with two alternative counts of involuntary manslaughter. This means basically that the state gets two chances to convict her, but they can't convict her on both. The first alternative count is for negligent use of a deadly weapon. And the second one is for commission of a lawful act which might produce death in an unlawful manner or without due caution and circumspection. Both of these are fourth-degree felonies. And obviously, the involuntary manslaughter charges are for the death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. And Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is being charged for her alleged criminal negligence with regard to the proper handling of a firearm, specifically the live round making it into the gun. Obviously, Gutierrez-Reed wasn't holding the revolver when the live round left the chamber and passed through Halyna Hutchins. So the state is hoping to convict Gutierrez-Reed on the basis of being the person who really was responsible for making sure that only dummy rounds, as
like I said, some bland material here.
We don't have to go any further, especially since this is the last segment for the night, man. But who is culpable? For me personally, man, this is not about hanging anyone else to dry, but because it's a woman, I feel like people are going to come to her defense, and her defense will literally be, well, this man was in charge. No, bitch, I hired you to do a job.
Honestly, because if he is guilty, then that defies the point of hiring safety experts.
Exactly.
Right? Like what like let's say you run a department store. Are you telling me if there's a fire and you have a fire chief, you've hired a fire chief marshal or something, that's a pointless activity and you still need to be an expert at fires? And it's just weird. It's just totally weird.
It's absolute nonsense, man. Here's what I'm saying, man. Alec Baldwin, I don't think is culpable in this. I think she is, but I just want to talk about our baby girl, Candace Owens, man.
Okay. Love to talk about my baby girl.
For the last part of the segment, man. Candace Owens is on the Daily Wire. We all know that Ben Shapiro is not the owner proprietor of that station, man. Can I ask you a real question, man? Just a real question, just to end the shit.
All right.
You ready for the real question? Why is Candace Owens so fucking hot, bro? Like, what is it about her? What is it about Candace Owens that's like so fucking amazing, bro? What? The timer is back on. What is it about Candace Owens?
It's because it is time for us to head out. Why don't you tell the people where they can find you?
Oh, what the fuck? They can find me anywhere on social media at the Hold Up TV or Riz Radio.
Riz Radio, that's right. That's where you guys need to be. You need to check us out at all hours. We're on all the time. We're non-stop presenting our shit. It has been an amazing show. But as a matter of fact, you guys should head to Riz Radio right now. Steve is on at this time. He actually took one for the team to do this show because I was unable to do it on Monday. So I thank you very much for this.
Have a good night, everyone.
Peace. Much love. Peace. Candace Owens and Pearly. We're ready to do a double day. Let's do this.